Chapter 1186. By the time Long Yu's expression changed, the two white-robed sovereign realm experts had already arrived on the scene. They had already formed a formation with Hozun, who was already present. With the appearance of this formation, the power of the three different divine characters instantly covered the surrounding void, covering everything within 1,000,000 miles. Even the White Feather Planet was included in this area. The White Feather Planet only occupied 1,000th of the entire planet. The three sovereign realm experts working together were actually able to form a scanning array formation that could detect every single detail within 1,000,000 miles of the planet's surface. Before Long Yu could react, in the void not far away from them, a wave of icy divine characters suddenly exploded. The strength of the power far surpassed the Dragon Empress of Nine Nether's innate skill that Long Yu had cast before, and it froze the entire area within a radius of 10,000 miles. If Long Yu or Ruo Tianqin, who was possessed by the demon ancestor's primordial spirit, were in that area, it would be impossible for them to escape. They would be frozen to death in an instant. This was the gap between martial Dao realms. Great sovereigns were much stronger than Long Yu. Moreover, Long Yu was an expert among great sovereigns, even stronger than ordinary great sovereigns. This large-scale eruption of chilling ice divine runes was most likely to force Concubine Yu to appear. Sure enough, after the eruption of chilling ice divine runes, a beautiful figure that Long Yu had seen several times appeared from within the chilling ice divine runes. With a wave of her hand, black and white chilling ice divine runes intertwined, instantly shattering the chilling ice divine runes. It's really her. When Long Yu saw the beautiful figure, he heaved a sigh of relief, but at the same time, he was a little worried for her. He knew that when Consort Yu came, she probably saw the 9 Hell Tablet exploding and thought that he was dead. Therefore, she killed all the demon cultivators from the 4 great demon clans to avenge him. She didn't expect that Long Yu was not dead at all. With this, Consort Yu and the demon clan would definitely become enemies. In that case, what should Long Yu do? Even if Shui Luo was willing to help him, he might not be willing to help Consort Yu. Although Consort Yu was powerful, this was still the territory of the demon race, and she had escaped from the Jiuyu tribe. Without backup, it would be hard for her to win. However, no matter what Long Yu wanted to do, it was difficult for him to say anything in such a situation. At this stage, he could only wait and see. If it was really necessary, he would not hesitate to release the 9 underworld's prison steel again to protect Concubine Yu. It was impossible for him to watch the other party attack Concubine Yu. How could it be you, Jiuyu holy girl? Didn't you run away from the Jiuyu clan? Why did you come to our demon clan's territory and kill the innocent? One of the great sovereign experts was a long-haired man. His whole body exuded an icy aura, and his eyes were icy purple. He seemed extremely cold. He recognized Consort Yu's identity at a glance and shouted, "Demon Clan Alliance, 3 inspectors. This lineup seems to be overestimating me." Concubine Yu smiled faintly, but she didn't answer his question directly. Instead, she calmly walked out of the ice and appeared before everyone's eyes. In the Demon Clan Alliance, only the experts among the great sovereigns were qualified to take up the position of inspector. They had to be at least at the same level as Master Hozun. Therefore, the 2 great sovereigns who had just appeared were also inspectors, and had the same status as Master Hozun. It's Consort Yu? Red Oriole, who was beside Long Yu, suddenly brightened up. She didn't recognize Consort Yu at first, but after listening to the long-haired man with purple eyes from the Demon Clan Alliance, she realized that the beautiful woman was actually Consort Yu. As expected, it's Consort Yu. Ha! Shui Luo heaved a sigh of relief when he saw this. He had long sensed that there were people nearby, and they should be the culprits who slaughtered the 4 great demon clans. He had already guessed it, and now his guess was confirmed, because Shui Luo knew that Long Yu possessed the Consort Yu, and that the holy girl of the Jiuyu clan, Consort Yu, had left because of the Jiuyu realm. He had long known that Long Yu and Consort Yu were related. Now that someone had slaughtered the 4 great demon clans, Consort Yu was one of the most likely candidates. Now it seemed that his guess was right. Hey, sis, looks like your premonition was right. As long as we follow Brother Long, we'll meet the holy girl of the Joyo clan, Consort Yu. One day, this Consort Yu is even more beautiful than I imagined. The moment Hong Jun saw Consort Yu, his eyes widened. Her ethereal figure, but also contained the dense, evil aura of the Joyo divine text. The two completely different auras concentrated on Consort Yu, but they didn't seem out of place at all. Instead, they gave her a unique charm. She does have quite the temperament. Cousin, you'd better be careful that your lover gets snatched away. Shui Luo chuckled. However, Red Oriole snorted. What lover? You guys, on the other hand, better not be charmed by her. These words caused her younger brother, Hong Jun, to cough uncontrollably. Finally, he retracted his gaze. Ahem, I already have someone I like. Sis, don't talk nonsense. Red Oriole's move was truly instantaneous. Originally, the spearhead had been pointed at her, but she had easily shifted the topic to the Red Monarch. Compared to the composure of the Blood Demon Clan, the Black Scale Demon Clan, the White Feather Demon Clan, and the Demon Clan's alliance were all greatly shocked. Because they had speculated a lot about the identity of the murderer, but it never occurred to them that the murderer would be the holy girl of the Joyo clan who had run away from the Joyo clan. In that case, Master Hozun took a look at Long Yu. He already had a guess in his mind. No wonder this guy is so impressive. He is Long Yu, who is rumored to have obtained the heritage of the Joyo Dragon Emperor. And Consort Yu ran away because of this. I should have thought of this earlier. What a blunder. Master Hozun thought to himself. He was an inspector of the Demon Clan Alliance. There were too many things he had to manage. He had seen many darkness-attributed divine characters that were similar to the 9 Nether divine characters. Therefore, he had never thought that the murderer would be related to the Joyo Dragon Emperor. But now, with the appearance of Concubine Yu, Long Yu's identity was on the verge of being revealed. She is the holy girl of the Joyo clan. Why is she here? Moreover, she even slaughtered dozens of our sovereign secret realm experts. We can't let her go today. The White Feather Demonic Clan's patriarch's eyes widened in anger when he saw this. There were 2 reasons why they had suffered the greatest losses in this operation. One of them was the eruption of the pitch-black stone steel when they were besieging Long Yu, killing 50 to 60 sovereign realm experts of their clan. The other reason was the mysterious disappearance of the people who had stayed behind. From the looks of it, all the people who had stayed behind were killed by the Consort Yu of the 9 Nether clan. The human race's holy girl actually came to the territory of our demon clan to slaughter people? Preposterous. Does she think that our demon clan is invincible? The Black Chelan race's patriarch was incomparably furious. His anger was even stronger than when Long Yu had killed the devil-resisting water. Long Yu had only killed one of their rising stars, but Consort Yu had killed more than 50 of their sovereign secret realm experts. Pay attention to your words. I am no longer the 9 Nether clan's holy girl. When Consort Yu heard their words, she emphasized her words. She then turned to the crowd and asked, however, I would like to ask all of you a question. You people from the Demon Clan can hunt down my human race's geniuses. Why can't I kill someone from your Demon Clan? I'm just taking revenge for my friend. Of course, he didn't die because he had some tricks up his sleeves. It was beyond all of your expectations. Her words caused the people from the Black Chelan race and White Feather Clan to be filled with righteous indignation. They wanted to refute her words, but they couldn't find any words to say. That was indeed the case. Why could they hunt down Long Yu, but why couldn't Consort Yu help Long Yu kill them? Everyone understood this logic. Therefore, it was definitely inappropriate for the Black Chelan race and White Feather Clan to handle this matter. The Demon Clan Alliance would not allow such a large-scale conflict between the human race and the Demon Clan to erupt. At this time, the Demon Clan Alliance's usefulness could be seen. Consort Yu, even if that's the case, shouldn't you take some responsibility for killing so many people from our Demon Clan? The long-haired, purple-eyed man said with a faint smile. Grandmaster Zilei, what responsibility do you want to take? Consort Yu clearly wasn't ignorant of the Demon Clan Alliance. She immediately saw through the long-haired, purple-bronze man's identity. You have three choices. Before the long-haired, purple-eyed man and Grandmaster Zile could speak, another Sovereign Realm expert who had just arrived spoke. This person was very fat, with a round face and a big mouth. It was hard to tell whether he was a man or a woman. However, at this moment, he was chewing something in his mouth. Obviously, he was a foodie. However, no one present looked down on this person because of this. After all, this person was one of the Demon Clan Alliance's inspectors, Grandmaster Gluttony. Grandmaster Hozun, Grandmaster Gluttony, and Grandmaster Zile, the three inspectors from the Demon Clan Alliance, surrounded Consort Yu together. They wanted Consort Yu to give them an explanation for this matter. The first choice is for us to break the negotiation and fight. Believe me, this choice won't do you any good. Even if the three of us together aren't a match for you, it's still very easy for us to trap you. What do you think will happen when the other people from the Demon Clan Alliance arrive? The second choice is to come with us to the Demon Clan Alliance's headquarters. It's better for the Demon Clan Alliance's headquarters to solve the problem that concerns the relationship between our Demon Clan and the human race. The compensation plan can also be discussed slowly. As for the third choice, at this point, Grandmaster Gluttony finally stopped chewing the food in his mouth. He stared at Consort Yu for a long time before saying, "Marry me." Chapter 1187. After Gluttony Master said this, he stared at Consort Yu with a sneaky expression. However, Consort Yu didn't take his words seriously at all. In your dreams. Unfortunately, you only have two choices here. Either you scram or you die. Take advantage of the opportunity you have right now. Hurry up and choose. Consort Yu said coldly. To be able to say such words in the territory of my demon race, your tone is not small. Hozun, Zile, regardless of whether you can endure it or not, I will be the first one who can endure it. This girl has to be taught a lesson, and let her know whose territory this is. Gluttony Master's face darkened as he said to Grandmaster Hozun and Grandmaster Zile. Grandmaster Hozun and Grandmaster Zile didn't say anything else. They just moved and completely surrounded Consort Yu in the void. It seemed like they were really going to make a move. After all, this was the demon race's territory. Consort Yu had slaughtered more than 200 demon race experts in the Sovereign Secret Realm. For the demon race's alliance, she was definitely an enemy. Long Yu looked at the tense atmosphere and felt a little nervous. If a fight really broke out, he definitely wouldn't just stand by and watch. However, before they started fighting, a confident voice came from the side. "Ah, Grandmasters, why are you so angry? The human race and the demon race have formed an alliance in the foreign race's battlefield. We are helping each other and complementing each other. We can't do without either side. Why are you making such a big fuss?" Unexpectedly, it was Shuel Luo from the Blood Demon race. He said bluntly, "Grandmasters and seniors of the demon race's alliance, I'm too lazy to say anything else. Since this consort Yu has committed a crime in the demon race's territory, let her join our army in the foreign race's battlefield. Let's go to the foreign race's battlefield and kill them. Am I right?" His words were obviously to help Consort Yu out of the predicament. Different expressions appeared on everyone's faces. The people from the Black Shielan clan and the White Feather clan immediately attacked Shuel Luo. "Which side are you on? Do you belong to the demon race or the human race? This woman slaughtered more than 200 of our demon clan's elites. Are we just going to let it go?" The people from the Black Shielan Monstrous clan and the White Feather Monstrous clan were immediately cursed out. Evidently, they all felt that it was too easy for Consort Yu to be sent to the battlefield of the outsiders. Shuel Luo snorted coldly and said, "I already said that the human race and the demon race coexist. Neither side can survive. Without the human race, the demon race will perish in less than 100 years. Without the demon race, the human race will be the same. Therefore, if you continue to separate the human race and the demon race, aren't you being too short-sighted? Furthermore, why were those 200 elites of the demon clan killed? It's all because you surrounded and killed this human genius. May I ask, Who is the one causing trouble for whom? Shui Luo's words contained the aura of the emperor of the demon race's battlefield, which instantly intimidated everyone present. His strength was not any weaker than Grandmaster Ho Zun and the other two people from the Demon Race Alliance. In addition to the murderous aura he had accumulated in the demon race's battlefield over the years, his aura surpassed that of Grandmaster Ho Zun and the others. The people from the Black Qilin Monstrous Clan and the White Feather Monstrous Clan were chattering noisily just a moment ago, but now they instantly fell silent. They didn't dare to say a single word for fear of provoking Shui Luo, the murderous god of the demon race's battlefield. 3 Grandmasters, think about it. Even if Consort Yu follows you to the headquarters of the Demon Race Alliance, will the Demon Race Alliance punish her? Shui Luo said indifferently. At most, they'll let her redeem herself by killing some of the demon race's members. Since that's the case, why don't you let her go with us? After all, we're going to the demon race's battlefield soon. It won't be hard for you to explain yourself when you return to the headquarters of the Demon Race Alliance. After all, it's the people from the Black Qilin Monstrous Clan and the White Feather Monstrous Clan who asked for trouble. Shui Luo's words stunned Grandmaster Ho Zun, Grandmaster Gluttony, and Grandmaster Zile. They weren't stunned because of Shui Luo's words, but because Shui Luo's words clearly indicated that he was on Consort Yu's side. If they forcefully attacked Consort Yu, Shui Luo would most likely help Consort Yu. If that was the case, the 3 of them wouldn't be able to stop Shui Luo and Consort Yu. After all, Consort Yu could deal with the 2 of them by herself. For Grandmaster Ho Zun and the other 2 Grandmasters, the situation had become quite tricky. If they let Consort Yu go, it wouldn't be justifiable according to the rules. However, if they didn't let Consort Yu go, the current situation wouldn't be easy to solve, unless they waited for the other helpers of the Demon Race Alliance to come. But would Shui Luo and Consort Yu give them time? Perhaps as soon as Grandmaster Ho Zun and the other 2 Grandmasters expressed that they wouldn't let Consort Yu go, Shui Luo and Consort Yu would immediately attack them. At least, it would be easy for them to escape from this place. It was impossible for the 3 of them to catch up with them. Grandmaster Ho Zun, Grandmaster Zile, and Master Gluttony looked at each other. They were all inspectors of several galaxies in the Demon Race Alliance, so they had cooperated with each other many times. Now, just a look was enough to tell each other what to do next. Soon, Grandmaster Ho Zun nodded and basically finished the discussion with Grandmaster Gluttony and Grandmaster Zile. Okay, then you can take her to the battlefield of the alien race. However, the Demon Race Alliance will submit the information to the army on the battlefield of the alien race. The army on the battlefield will strictly assign tasks to Consort Yu. She must kill a certain number of alien race members to make up for her crime. Then there's no problem, right? Shui Luo smiled. As long as she went to the battlefield of the alien race, everything would be managed by the army on the battlefield. The Demon Race Alliance couldn't interfere at all. Of course, the Demon Race Alliance could ask the army on the battlefield to assign tasks to Consort Yu. However, Shui Luo was the commander of the army on the battlefield of the alien race, so he was very clear about the current policy of the demon race on the battlefield of the alien race. Because the death rate on the battlefield of the alien race was very high, there were fewer and fewer young demon race members willing to go to the battlefield of the alien race. Therefore, a policy had been put in place long ago. That was, as long as one was willing to go to the battlefield of the alien race, all the previous crimes would be lenient. Moreover, as long as one was willing to follow the command and arrangement of the battlefield of the alien race, all the previous crimes would be written off. Although Consort Yu was a human, there were many human experts on the battlefield of the alien race in the territory of the demon race. Many human experts were even serving as commanders in the army on the battlefield of the alien race. Therefore, Grandmaster Ho Zun's words were just for show. If he really wanted to go to the battlefield of the alien race to Consort Yu's crimes, it was impossible for him to do so. He just said it now to make the people of the Black Qilin clan and the White Feather clan feel a little better. Consort Yu was also a little surprised that Shui Luo stood out to speak for her. However, she also recognized Shui Luo's identity. She had also been to the battlefield of the alien race in the past, but she was on the side of the human race. At that time, there was a huge invasion of the alien race. Therefore, the human race asked the demon race for reinforcements. Many experts were sent over, and more than half of the sovereign secret realm experts in the human race's territory were mobilized. Finally, the alien race was repelled. It was also at that time that Consort Yu saw Shuel Luo. Although she didn't have a deep impression of him, with her memory, she still remembered Shuel Luo's identity. This person is willing to help me probably because of Long Yu. Now, Long Yu seems to have a close relationship with the princess of the blood demon race, and this Shuel Luo is the cousin of the princess of the blood demon race. Does this mean that they are in-laws? Consort Yu had a strange feeling. It could be said that Long Yu was personally raised by her. Although she had only wanted to use him to seize the 9 underworlds realm, as Long Yu grew in the Shenwu world, Consort Yu admired Long Yu more and more. She could see that in the future, Long Yu's achievements wouldn't be any lower than hers. Thinking back to the strange phenomenon that appeared on Long Yu's body, Consort Yu was still a little confused. At that time, it was precisely the strange phenomenon that appeared on Long Yu's body that attracted her attention to Long Yu, and also left the 9 underworlds dragon mark on her body. Shaking her head, Consort Yu didn't think too much about the past. Instead, she stood up and walked towards Shuel Luo's direction. This time, Grandmaster Ho Zun and the other 3 Grandmasters of the Demon Race Alliance didn't stop her. They could only watch as she walked towards the Blood Demon Race's camp and met up with Shuel Luo. Many thanks for your help, Consort Yu said to Shuel Luo with a faint smile. It's not really help. After all, even without me, you can handle such a situation by yourself. Shuel Luo laughed. However, my next action plan requires you to come with us to the battlefield of the foreign races. Don't worry, there will definitely be a lot of benefits. Action plan? Hearing Shuel Luo's words, Long Yu, Hong Jun, Red Oriole, and Consort Yu were a little confused. Cousin, and little brother Long, you all come with me to the battlefield of the foreign races. Shuel Luo nodded. His expression became a little serious. After all, if you stay in the demon race's territory, you may face the assassins of the 4 races of the Golden Flood Dragon Demon race at any time. They may even send some of their trump cards to assassinate you. It's impossible to guard against them. Right now, the most important thing for you all is to quickly improve your martial realm. In this kind of environment where you may be assassinated at any time, it's impossible to cultivate in peace. You're right. Red Oriole nodded her head after hearing Shuel Luo's words. She took the opportunity to hug Long Yu's arm and asked, Little brother Long, what do you think? What you need now is time. At the very least, you need to step into the sovereign secret realm. Only then will you be able to stand on your own. At that time, no one will dare to bully you. Long Yu thought about it and agreed with Shuel Luo. For the time being, there wouldn't be a stable cultivation environment in the demon race's territory. If he wanted a stable cultivation environment, he could only follow Shuel Luo to the battlefield of the foreign races. Chapter 1188. The battlefield of the alien races became Long Yu's next stop. However, he would not be alone on this stop. Next to him were Shuel Luo, Hong Jun, Hong Ying, and other friends of the Blood Demon clan, as well as Qing Feng, Tian Lei, and the other 100,000 branches of the White Feather Demon clan. Even Consort Yu was with them. Most importantly, Consort Yu pulled Long Yu aside and told him with a smile, Right, I have good news for you. Your master and 2 senior brothers in the Divine Battle Sector, Red Emperor Xing Fa and Dao Jingtian, have all been brought here from the Lushan clan. Right now, Yi Ziwei is in my small world. You haven't seen her for a long time, have you? The girl has been talking about you all the time. I'm afraid she will be very sad if she sees you with the princess of the Blood Demon clan. She and I are just friends. She is a bit more cheerful. Long Yu did not know whether to laugh or cry. Senior Consort Yu, speaking of which, what happened after you left the 9 Serenities realm? When I got out of the 9 Serenities realm, I found myself in a historical site in the universe. Long Yu learned a little bit about what had happened from Hong Ying. After all, the incident had spread far and wide. Many people knew the gist of it. However, Long Yu wanted to know more details. Hearing Long Yu's question, Consort Yu finally told Long Yu everything that had happened after they left the Nine Serenities realm, including the self-detonation of Dao e.g. Yuan, the birth of the ruins of the world, and the outbreak of space turbulence. As for why I left the Nine Serenities clan and gave up the title of Saintess, the situation is much more complicated. We don't have much time now. Let's talk about it later. Consort Yu did not tell him why she left the Nine Serenities clan for now. However, Long Yu would not dwell on it. Time was indeed tight. Even if they wanted to talk, they could not stay in the void to do so. However, Senior Consort Yu, I feel that you seem a little different from before. Long Yu sized up Consort Yu suspiciously. Previously, when he saw Consort Yu, she was always bathed in an ethereal aura. Her temperament was elegant yet cold, giving people the feeling that she could only be seen from afar. But now, although Consort Yu's body still carried the ethereal immortal chi, it was much thinner, and the cold aura of the netherworld divine characters on her body was stronger than before. Consort Yu's expression immediately darkened at the mention of this. My absolute beginning divine grade grand primordium cracked when I fought against the world ruin, so my snow immortal aura is much weaker than before. Long Yu saw a snow-white necklace around Concubine Yu's neck amidst the ethereal immortal chi. There were many small cracks on the necklace. It was an absolute beginning divine grade necklace. Unexpectedly, in order to help Long Yu take the Nine Serenities realm away from the Lushan clan, Consort Yu had made such a huge sacrifice. Even the godly absolute beginning treasure had cracks on it. However, you don't have to worry about me. Right now, I'm completely relaxed. Moreover, this is a blessing in disguise. After being thrown out by the spatial turbulence, I unexpectedly obtained some things. As for what I obtained, you'll find out in the future. Consort Yu looked at Long Yu's regretful expression and suddenly giggled. She seemed to be in a good mood. A blessing in disguise? What did he get? Of course, Long Yu was puzzled and very curious. However, since Consort Yu refused to tell him, he didn't ask too much. At this time, Blood Demon Princess Red Oriole suddenly ran over and hugged Long Yu's arm. She giggled and asked, "You're still whispering to each other? We should go now." "All right, let's go first." Consort Yu nodded her head and looked at Long Yu and Red Oriole. Her beautiful eyes revealed a meaningful smile. With regards to this, Long Yu did not want to explain any further. The two beauties before him were both much stronger than him. If he were to really say anything, he would definitely be the one being bullied. Therefore, the best thing for Long Yu to do was to remain silent. However, when Long Yu felt the alluring figure hugging his arm, he felt that it was a form of enjoyment. He looked at the Blood Demon clan, and the eyes of the Blood Demon clan cultivators behind Shueluo were filled with murderous intent. Blood Demon Princess Red Oriole was the goddess in their hearts. But now, she was really in a relationship with a human boy. This was absolutely heartbreaking. Although Long Yu had shown extremely strong martial arts talent and combat ability just now, the Blood Demon clan cultivators still felt a little unbalanced in their hearts. Of course, they only felt unbalanced in their hearts for a moment. If they really asked Long Yu to put forward any opinions, they wouldn't dare to. It was not that they didn't dare to, but that they wouldn't, because they knew that Long Yu was Shueluo's friend, and Shueluo was their leader. After Master Ho Zun, Master Gluttony, and Master Zile, the three inspectors of the Demon Alliance agreed no one dared to stop Shueluo and Long Yu. The people of the Black-Scaled Demon Clan and the White Feather Demon Clan could only watch them leave the field and go back to Planet White Feather. They were preparing to go to the battlefield of the alien race through the teleportation array. This was going to be a very dangerous journey. On the battlefield of the alien race, death followed everyone. If they were not careful, they might even encounter a large-scale attack from the alien race. At that time, even Shueluo couldn't guarantee that he could survive. It was dangerous, but it was also accompanied by opportunities. In the battlefield of the foreign races, There were too many existences that died without a burial place. Whether it was the human race, the demon race, or the foreign races, it was very likely that they would leave behind some treasures. These things were all cultivation resources, and if one was lucky, they could obtain very precious things. Moreover, as long as one could kill an alien tribe member on the alien tribe battlefield, he would be rewarded by the monster clan's army on the alien tribe's battlefield. With enough merit points, he could even exchange for a divine absolute beginning realm item that matched his element. Of course, to exchange for a divine absolute beginning grade treasure with merit points, the number of alien races that they had to kill was absolutely enough to make people desperate. Even Shueluo, the commander of the Emperor, was far from being able to exchange for a divine absolute beginning grade treasure. On the battlefield of the alien race, we have to face different opponents every year. However, in recent years, the Ice God clan and the Fire God clan have been more active, and they have been fiercely attacking the territory of the Demon clan. On the way to the battlefield of the alien race, Shueluo explained the current situation to the others. The Ice God clan and the Fire God clan are not too difficult to deal with. However, they also have powerful experts who have divine absolute beginning grade treasures. Their combat abilities are very terrifying. Sometimes, we even need demigod experts to resist their attacks. Need demigod experts? Hearing that, Long Yu was a bit surprised. In the Demon clan and the Human clan, the demigod realm was the strongest existence, and they would not be easily sent out to die. He didn't expect that the Ice God clan and the Fire God clan would send demigod experts to attack the Demon clan. Don't get me wrong. Shueluo knew what Long Yu, Hong Jun, and the others were thinking after seeing their expressions. He smiled and said, "The demigod experts can only repel the demigod experts on the other side. It is too difficult to kill them. Every demigod expert is the pillar of a race. The death of any one of them will seriously weaken the overall strength of the race." I see. Only then did Long Yu and the others understand and nodded their heads. Outside the territory of the Demon clan, we actually haven't reached the battlefield of the alien race yet. There are 3 galaxies that separate the Demon clan's territory from the real battlefield of the alien race. Shueluo explained, "We are heading to the 3rd outer domain galaxy, where I belong. There, I have a cultivation planet as my territory. We can rest there for a while. Now, can you tell me what your plan is?" Concubine, you have been following beside Long Yu. Now that everyone had left Planet Bayou and were halfway there, she took the opportunity to ask this question. "Yes, you can." At the mention of this, Shueluo's expression turned solemn. "Actually, my adjutant reported to me a piece of news. Near the cultivation planet under my jurisdiction, they found a space-time imprint channel. I sent a vanguard team to take a look and found out that it was actually an ancient ruin of a foreign race. Alien relic." Hearing that, Consort Yu was immediately interested. "It's an alien relic? Do you know where it is exactly?" "If it is in the territory of the alien race, we will be killed if we go there. I've found out that the alien relic is in the void of the battlefield of the alien race. In terms of distance, it is the closest to our territory." Shueluo smiled. "The key is that the alien relic is in a state of sealed spacetime. There is no other way to enter it except through the spacetime channel. My adjutant has found out that the only spacetime channel that can lead to the alien relic is the one we found. In other words, the safety can be guaranteed to the greatest extent." Consort Yu narrowed her eyes. "But do you want to explore an alien relic with just a few of us?" "Of course not. I have already gathered an exploration team. I wasn't very confident at first, but with you, Consort Yu, I am much more confident." Shueluo laughed. "So you think of me as a thug, but I am really interested in this alien relic." Consort Yu nodded and said, "Can I go?" Red Oriole asked, "If you can step into the Great Sovereign Realm within a month, you can go." Shueluo chuckled. "Without the Great Sovereign Realm, exploring the alien relic is too dangerous. It is better to cultivate in peace on my cultivation planet." Chapter 1189. Regarding the foreign race ruins, Long Yu and Red Oriole couldn't participate. What they needed the most right now was a safe place to cultivate. Especially Long Yu, there were a lot of things he had to do that he didn't have the time to do. For example, studying the death prison of the four symbols, finding a way to increase the quality of the Netherworld Dragon Blade, relocating all the living beings in Shenwu World. All of these things needed to be done after the situation had stabilized. Fortunately, he soon followed Shuai Luo to the third domain galaxy, where he would have a relatively safe cultivation environment. Of course, it was only relatively safe. Any cultivator in the third domain galaxy would be assigned a mission every month, which was to go to the battlefield of the alien races to participate in the war. Whether it was to kill the foreign race, transport resources, or deliver information, the cultivator could choose for themselves. Only by completing this monthly mission would they be qualified to stay in the outer galaxy. Otherwise, they would be chased out of the outer galaxy. With the current situation where Long Yu had offended the Black Scale Beast race, the White Feather Beast race, the Golden Serpent Beast race, and the Golden Moon Beast race, if he was chased out of the outer galaxy, he would most likely die very quickly. The current Long Yu was still far from being able to go against a great demonic race. That would definitely be courting death. Long Yu, when we reach the outer galaxy, Shuai Luo and I will need a month to prepare before heading to the foreign race ruins. During this month, can I borrow the 9 Underworlds prison tablet? Consort Yu walked up to Long Yu and asked in a low voice, as if she was asking for permission. Senior Consort Yu, there's no need to be so polite. If you want to study it, feel free to come. I'll also need to study the 9 Underworlds prison tablet for a while. Long Yu nodded. Now, he knew that if he wanted to comprehend the Revelation Level 9 Nether Divine Text, he only needed to enter the 9 Nether Prison Tablet. Therefore, as long as he had time, it would be better for him to comprehend the Revelation Level 9 Nether Divine Text inside the 9 Nether Prison Tablet. When Long Yu had been trapped inside the 9 Hell Prison Tablet, he had spent a month to comprehend 10% of the Revelation Grade 9 Hell Divine Text. However, the more he comprehended, the slower his speed became. Long Yu estimated that he would need at least 3 months to comprehend 20% of the Revelation Grade 9 Hell Divine Text, and half a year to comprehend 30%. After all, Revelation Grade Divine Text was an improved derivative of the Genesis 5 elements, so it was very difficult to comprehend. And this was because Long Yu had already comprehended the Origin Grade 9 Nether Divine Text for a long time. Otherwise, his comprehension speed would have been at least 10 times slower. Thank you very much. Consort Yu smiled. Although she was Long Yu's senior and her martial arts realm was much higher than Long Yu's, she did not use her power to oppress him. Instead, she treated Long Yu as a friend. This made the experts of the Blood Demon clan, who followed Shuai Luo, somewhat admire her. At the same time, they also appreciated Consort Yu a little more. This feeling was similar to how Shuai Luo never treated his subordinates as a leader. Instead, he treated them as friends and was very cordial. Right now, Long Yu could only rely on Shuai Luo and Consort Yu in the Beyond Heavens world. Among them, Shuai Luo was not particularly reliable because of his relationship with Red Oriole. Therefore, Long Yu treated Consort Yu very well. He had originally promised to let her comprehend the 9 Nether Prison Tablet. Although she had left the 9 Nether clan, he still had to keep his word. Originally, Long Yu had set his sights on Consort Yu and not the 9 Nether clan. Since Consort Yu was no longer the saintess of the 9 Nether clan, Long Yu naturally followed Consort Yu. The third outer domain galaxy was located outside the Demon clan's territory. This galaxy blocked the way of several foreign clans, including the Ice God clan and the Fire God clan, as well as the most terrifying Soul clan. Of course, there were also other clans that frequently appeared. However, most of Shuai Luo's tasks were to deal with the Ice God clan and the Fire God clan, as well as other clans that were more active at certain times. As for the Soul clan, he left them to a special clan within the foreign clan's army to deal with. That clan was rather mysterious, and Shuai Luo did not know much about them. He only knew that they had a great advantage in dealing with the Soul clan. They were practically the natural nemesis of the Soul Clan. It was precisely because of this that the Demon Clan's territory was impregnable. Whether it was the Ice God Clan, the Fire God Clan, or the Soul Clan, none of them could break through the third outer domain galaxy and invade the Demon Clan's territory. Outside the Demon Clan's territory, there were a total of 3 outer domain galaxies, each protecting a different part of the Demon Clan's territory. The defensive line was very wide and covered almost all the gaps in the Demon Clan's territory. This ensured that no foreign clans would be able to sneak into the Demon Clan's territory. As for the other half of the Demon Clan's territory, it was adjacent to the Human Clan's territory, so there was basically no need to send too many people to defend it. This way, the Demon Clan could concentrate all their forces on this half of the Demon Clan's territory. Of course, this had also led to the relative peace in the Demon Clan's territory. Many people had almost forgotten the terror of the foreign clans and began to fight for power in the Demon Clan's territory. This kind of phenomenon was exactly what the Demon Alliance was trying to prevent. Therefore, in this matter between the Black Scale Demon Clan and the Golden Flood Dragon Demon Clan, Great Master Ho Zun and the others, who represented the Demon Alliance, were more inclined to Long Yu's side. Because they cared about the overall situation, unlike the 4 small demon clans, who had basically never felt any threat or terror from the foreign clans. In the third outer domain galaxy, the army of the foreign clans was mainly led by a general, and Shueluo was only a subordinate of this general. That general was a super strong demigod of the demon clan. Every extraterrestrial galaxy was supervised by a super expert in the demigod level. Otherwise, it would be very easy for unexpected situations to occur. For example, if an alien race suddenly sent a demigod expert to attack the demon race, it would be impossible to send someone to defend the demon race in time. In the third outer domain galaxy, no matter where the situation was, the demigod general could arrive as soon as possible and solve the problem quickly. Under this demigod general were 7 or 8 deputy generals, each of whom was slightly stronger than Shueluo. Shueluo was the commander of one of the deputy generals, Emperor. In this way, Shueluo's level in the third outer domain galaxy was only at the 3rd level. He was not very powerful. However, when he returned to the Demon Clan's territory, his identity was enough to make most people feel scared. In 7 days, Long Yu, Consort Yu, and the others followed Shueluo and teleported directly through the Time Mar transmission array. They almost passed through the entire Demon Clan's territory from one end to the other. This was because Shueluo used his position as the commander of the Emperor to activate the Time Mar transmission array. If an ordinary cultivator wanted to travel like this, they would have to wait for the Time Mar transmission array to be activated. It would be impossible for them to travel through the entire Demon Clan's territory in a month, let alone 7 days. It would take at least 3 or 4 months. When they finally arrived at the third outer domain galaxy, everyone was a little dizzy. Even Long Yu, who had a good understanding of the divine language of space, could not bear it. In a short period of time, they had experienced too many Time Mark transmission arrays. Normal cultivators could not bear it at all. Fortunately, Long Yu's body was strong enough to endure it. They went straight to the third outer domain galaxy. The cultivation planet that Shueluo owned was named Shueluo Star. The cultivation planets in the third outer domain galaxy would change their names at any time. Once the owner of the cultivation planet changed, the name would be changed too. The Shueluo Star was located in the center of the third outer domain galaxy. It was a relatively rich place. Now that they had arrived at the Shueluo Star, they finally had a stable cultivation environment. You can rest and cultivate in peace on the Shueluo Star. There will be no danger, of course, unless there's a foreign invasion. Shueluo said with a smile, but everyone, if you want to stay here, you must complete a mission every month from the foreign invasion army. You can check the details of the mission in Sky Cliff City. I will also cultivate in Sky Cliff City. Sky Cliff City was the largest city on the Shueluo Star. There were many other cities on the Shueluo Star. After Long Yu and the others arrived on the Shueluo Star, Luo did not restrict their freedom. They could go wherever they wanted. It was a pity that the outer domain galaxy was not a place for people to live. This was because the White Feather Beast clan was under military management. If they wanted to stay, they must complete a mission every month. There were no exceptions. Because of this, the White Feather Beast clan could not come out. Long Yu had no choice but to call out like Qin Feng and like Tian Lei and discuss it with them. Our clansmen can't cultivate in your small world right now, so they're a bit irritated. However, the clansmen of my faction are quite sensible. They know that this is a matter of life and death for our clan, so they won't act rashly. Since it is inconvenient for them to come out, let them stay in your small world. Like Tian Lei said with a smile, I am a 5-star emperor. I am 2 levels away from becoming a lesser sovereign. When that time comes, I wonder if Senior would be willing to bring your clansmen to live in my small world. Long Yu asked tentatively, what I mean is to stay here permanently. If there are any talented juniors, they could be selected to be groomed. If we live permanently in a small world, I am afraid my clansmen will have some objections. However, I can still try to persuade them. I don't think it's a problem. After all, we have already left the White Feather Beast clan, so it doesn't matter where we live. Moreover, little brother Long Yu, you are very talented in martial arts. Maybe you can reach the demigod realm. At that time, we will live in a demigod realm expert's small world. Like Tian Lei said with a laugh. Chapter 1190. Just like that, Long Yu and the rest settled down on the Luo planet. In order to facilitate communication, everyone temporarily stayed in Sky Cliff City. Sky Cliff City was a large city built between the mountains. In the center was the city lord's mansion, where Luo lived. There were many large facilities around it, such as a martial arts arena, a trading street, a training ground, etc. Most importantly, the Legion's encampment. The Legion's encampment was the Legion's encampment on the Luo planet. Many of the Legion's management personnel were in charge of assessing the residency status of the cultivators on the Luo planet. It was also the place where missions were issued once a month. Those who arrived on the Luo planet first had to report to the Legion's encampment and obtain a Legion order that represented their identity. The Legion order was the pass to travel and stay on the Luo planet, or even the entire outer galaxy. Only by completing a mission every month could one maintain the Legion order. This kind of management directly led to the majority of the cultivators in the outer domain galaxy being powerful cultivators who had experienced bloodshed. At the very least, they were existences who had been to the battlefield of the alien race. There would not be arrogant fellows like those in the demon race's territory, because in the outer galaxy, arrogance and conceit would lead to death. Therefore, the atmosphere on the Luo planet was completely different from the King Killer planet and White Feather planet that Long Yu had been to before. On the streets of Sky Cliff City, there was no one chatting, only figures hurrying by. Everyone here was in a hurry, because time represented life. If they had the time to gossip, they might as well use it to cultivate and comprehend more powerful martial skills, so that their compatibility with combat weapons would reach a higher level. Only by spending most of their time on cultivation would they be able to survive in the outer galaxy's battlefield. Even the relatively simple monthly Legion's transport mission had an unimaginable death toll. Just on the Luo planet alone, at least 1/10 of the cultivators who went to the outer galaxy's battlefield would die on the battlefield, unable to return. Therefore, in the outer galaxy, if one did not have special survival techniques, it would be difficult for one to survive for more than a year. There were many demonic cultivator clans in the demonic race's territory who would send some of their more talented juniors to the outer realms for training, but most of them would only stay for 3 months. If they stayed any longer, the death rate would greatly increase, and the demonic cultivator clans would find it hard to bear. However, even if it was only 3 months of training, it was enough to make those young people who survived feel like they were reborn. Their temperament, strength, and combat experience were all improved. Hong Jun had once come to the battlefield of the foreign races to gain experience, So, when Long Yu was choosing foreign race opponents in the bloody battlefield, he had given a lot of very pertinent suggestions. I'm reminded of the third prince of the Golden Flood Dragon Monstrous clan, Red Oriole, and Long Yu were walking through the streets of Skycliff City. Suddenly, Red Oriole giggled and said, "Say, if the Golden Flood Dragon Yao clan had sent their third prince to Outer Star regions for training, this wouldn't have happened. Yeah, it's a pity that they treat the third prince like a treasure. Naturally, they wouldn't let him go to the alien battlefield and risk his life." Long Yu nodded and smiled. Suddenly, he thought of something and asked, "Right, did Wei Yuyin say anything about that longsword battle weapon? Could it be repaired?" Wei Yuyin had asked Red Oriole to release the longsword battle weapon after the matter on planet Snowplume was over. However, Long Yu had given him the unending grade longsword battle weapon he had obtained from Shimen Duantian so that he could repair it. Wei Yuyin was very interested in that, and for a moment, he did not want to come out of Red Oriole's mini-world. Wei Yuyin had been forging battle weapons for his entire life, but he had never forged an unending grade battle weapon. The most he could forge was a transcendent grade battle weapon, and that was already very lucky. Not only that, but a top-tier unending rank battle weapon was not something that could be easily seen, let alone a damaged one. If Wei Yuyin could figure out a way to repair this longsword battle weapon, then he might be able to improve his battle weapon crafting skills by leaps and bounds. This was a great opportunity for Wei Yuyin to improve himself, so he did not plan to leave for the time being. He planned to stay with Long Yu and Red Oriole and study the longsword battle weapon for a while. Of course, Red Oriole was too lazy to keep the old man in her mini-world, so she asked Shuai Luo to make an army order for Wei Yuyin, allowing him to live in Sky Cliff City and be under the jurisdiction of the army. Of course, the army order was in Red Oriole's hands. Without the army order, Wei Yuyin would not be able to leave Planet Snowfall or even Sky Cliff City, so there was no need to worry about him causing trouble. On the way here, he spent 7 days in my mini-world but made no progress. I'm afraid there's nothing he can do now. It's not that easy to repair an unending grade battle weapon. If it was that easy, Shimen Duantian would have already found someone to repair it. Red Oriole shook her head. That's true. Long Yu nodded. It seemed like it would take a long time for Wei Yuyin to repair the longsword battle weapon. On the first day in Sky Cliff City, Long Yu went to help Gu Yixian, Fiu Exen, Shu Chan, Yin Huan, and Mo Yin, and the others with the army order. Since the environment had stabilized, there was no need for them to stay in this unstable small world. Moreover, Feng Yu Exan, Shu Chan, and Sunset Dance were already at the peak of the martial emperor realm. Some of them even had the cultivation of a first-star monarch. If they continued to stay in the netherworld realm, there was no way for them to improve. They also needed to temper themselves. They believed that they would be able to find their place in the battlefield of the foreign races. Of course, there were dangers, but Long Yu couldn't protect them all the time. Only by experiencing danger could one truly grow. This was the rule that Long Yu had always believed in. Therefore, all the friends that Long Yu trusted in the Nine Serenities realm, including the Saint Emperor, the Demon Emperor, the Flame Emperor, and the Lay Emperor, were all sent out by Long Yu, and their respective army order was settled. Only the newly appointed Emperor Yun could only let her stay in the Nine Serenities realm and temporarily stabilize the situation. Of course, as compensation, Long Yu would also provide her with a creation item, so that she could cultivate in the Nine Serenities realm and improve her martial arts realm. Soon, Long Yu and Red Oriole walked hand in hand to the entrance of a spacious courtyard in Sky Cliff City. As soon as they opened the door, they could hear that it was very lively and noisy inside. "Ah, Brother Long, you're back. Come in." A sweet voice was immediately heard, followed by a petite figure appearing in front of them. It was Liao Lele, who had just come out from Shunwu World. This girl was now Long Yu's personal pill refiner. Recently, she had been researching the method to refine the rainbow stone egg and had gained quite a bit of insight. As long as her martial arts realm improved, she should be able to give it a try. As for the other supplementary materials needed to refine the demonic heaven speed pill, they were bought by Long Yu and Red Oriole together. In Sky Cliff City, Some of the pill refinement materials were relatively easy to buy, and the price was relatively cheap. Of course, it was only relatively cheap. Long Yu and Red Oriole made a trip and bought more than half of the supplementary materials needed to refine the Demonic Heaven Speed Pill, Void Speed Pill, Octane Blood Pill, and Sacred Soul Heavenly Pill. In total, they spent 80 million demon coins, and it was all paid for by Red Oriole. Long Yu didn't have any demon coins on him, so if he really had to take them out, he would have to sell a bit of the rainbow powder. However, a material like the rainbow powder would definitely be a huge loss in Sky Cliff City and wouldn't be able to sell it for the right price, so he temporarily let Red Oriole pay for it first. And now, everyone who was in Shenwu World had gathered in this spacious courtyard. There were more than 100 of them, including Liao Lele, celebrating the reunion of old friends. The so-called old friends were naturally Xing, Fa, Dao, Jingtian, as well as the Red Emperor, who just came out of Consort Yu's small world. When the Dark Moon Calamity occurred in Shenwu World, Xing, Fa, and Dao, Jingtian were suddenly taken away, causing everyone to lose track of them. It took a long time for them to finally meet again, so they naturally had to celebrate. It had been a very long time since Long Yu had seen his eldest brother and second brother, as well as his Shifu Red Emperor back in Shenwu World. Although they weren't at the same level anymore, they still helped Long Yu a lot back in Shenwu World's 5 Emperors' Holy City, so Long Yu naturally wouldn't forget this. Long Yu's current strength naturally far surpassed Dao, Jingtian, and Xing Fa, and even surpassed the Red Emperor by a lot. But no matter what, he wouldn't forget how they helped him at the very beginning. When he was facing a powerful enemy, Dao, Jingtian, and Xing Fa stepped forward and helped him a lot. Young Master Long, you're back. Come in quickly. Not too far behind Liao Lele, 2 women's eyes also lit up as they saw Long Yu. They were Qin Yushuang and Zisu. Both of them were now Emperor Realm Peak, so it was very hard for them to break through in Shenwu World, so they naturally came out with everyone else. After everyone's explanation, everyone now knew where they were and what kind of dangerous life they would have to face. But this didn't scare them away. Instead, it stimulated their desire to climb even higher. If anyone was afraid of dying on the battlefield of the other races, Long Yu wouldn't have let them come out. He would have just made them stay in Shenwu World like a coward. HM, how are the preparations for the banquet? Long Yu smiled and asked. It's almost done. Everyone is already inside. After this banquet, there will be quite a few people planning to accept missions on the battlefield tomorrow. Chapter 1191. Very quickly, Long Yu and Red Oriole stepped into the courtyard and saw over 100 old friends gathered together. These people were all friends that Long Yu had made in Shenwu World. Among them were the original 5 emperors of Shenwu World: the Red Emperor, the Demon Emperor, the Flame Emperor, the Lei Emperor, the Saint Emperor, as well as their respective personal disciples. The Red Emperor's personal disciples were naturally Xing Fa, Dao, Jingtian, as well as the siblings Yu Shaoyin and Yu Linfeng, as well as the short swordsman Nalanjun. Finally, there were also Long Yu and Yu Hanxin. Only one of the Demon Emperor's personal disciples came out, and that was Black Saber. Like Yi Ziwei, he was a powerful genius with great talent in the martial Dao. He had already cultivated to the 1-star sovereign emperor realm through the 9 underworld sky stairway that Long Yu constructed. The Flame Emperor's personal disciple was Sikong Hui. This combatant was the same as the Demon Blade, also a 1-star emperor. After all, he had been cultivating for a longer period of time, and his talent in martial arts was already quite good. There were also 2 personal disciples of the Saint Emperor. One of them was Qi Tianming, the chief personal disciple. He had a good relationship with Xing Fa and was currently drinking and chatting with Xing Fa, whom he hadn't seen for a long time. The other was Qi Qingxi. She was one of the personal disciples of the Saint Emperor, and she was the one that she liked the most. Moreover, she had spent the most effort to raise her. She had participated in the competition for the strongest emperor realm together with Sikong Hui and Long Yu, but now she had also become a 1-star emperor realm combatant. Among Lei Emperor's personal disciples, Yi Ziwei had followed Consort Yu for a long time. She had also returned to visit her master whom she hadn't seen for a long time. Of course, the most important thing was to meet Long Yu. There was also Su Qiubai, who was the second personal disciple of the Thunder Emperor. He was from the Su clan's medicine shop, and the relationship between the Su clan's medicine shop and Long Yu was quite good. The main reason was that the old ancestor, who was the spirit formation grandmaster Su Chun, had helped Long Yu deal with the Battle Emperor, and they had become friends. Because of that, Su Qiubai, Su Jianbai, Su Ning, and Su Chun and the other combatants of the Su clan medicine hall had left Shenwu world to explore the outer galaxies. Other than the two personal disciples who followed Lei Emperor, there was also Tong Zai. In name, she was Lei Emperor's maid, but in reality, she and Lei Emperor were husband and wife. Originally, the Thunder Emperor had wanted Tong Zai to stay in the Netherworld realm and live a peaceful life. However, she was unwilling to do so. Instead, she chose to come out and accompany the Thunder Emperor. Even if it meant going to the outer domain galaxy to carry out a dangerous mission, she did not hesitate. In her own words, "Even if we die together." These were the 5 emperors and their personal disciples. The others who came from the 5 emperors' holy city included the head butler of the Lin Merchant Company, Lin Ruei Tsai, as well as the elders of the alliance of 5 emperors, Tianxiang Emperor, Zhu Tian, Tan Xiuya, and others. These were the elders of the alliance of 5 emperors. All of them were either 1-star emperor or 2-star emperor, and they were all very powerful. Among them, Tianxiang Emperor had helped Long Yu a long time ago. As for Zhu Tian and Tan Xiuya, they had worked together with the spirit formation master Su Chun to fight against the Battle Emperor with Long Yu. Now that they had finally gotten the chance to leave Shenwu world, they naturally wanted to see the outside world. Even Su Chun, Zhu Tian, and Tan Xiuya had always wanted to go to the outside world. Now that they had the chance, they naturally wouldn't let it go. Other than these people, the rest were Long Yu's friends from a long time ago. There were Feng Yusin, Feng Xiaofei, Feng Haofeng, Feng Chang'e, and other members of the Feng family whom she had met on Heavenly Mandate Island. There were also Hong Yu, Ziling, Qi Yun, and other women from the Glazed Moon Palace who had followed Long Yu after the chaos in the Shura Prefecture. There were also Shu Chan's senior brothers and sisters whom she had met in the Shura Prefecture, including Shu Chan, Yu Qing Sha, and Sahan's Han. There were also Shu Chan's private friends, Xing Wu, Dugu Yijian, Jia Banxian, Xiao Zhu, and Xuan. There was also Hua Yuanbai, General Hua, the talented Mo Zhaiyan, Fu Tsubing, Xiying Wu, Yan Huanma, Mo Feng Ming, Fu Bu, Qihua, Mayer, Man Xen, and others. These friends along you were at least at the peak of the Emperor realm. This was all because of the 9 Serenity Sky ladder that Long Yu built, which greatly increased their cultivation speed. It could be said that almost everyone in this courtyard stood at the same starting point after coming to the outer galaxy. They were either at the peak of the Emperor realm or at the 1-star Emperor or 2-star Emperor. There was no higher cultivation. No one knew what kind of experiences these people would have in the future. In any case, with their current martial realm and cultivation base, the most they could do every month was to pick up some supplies. If they really had to go to the battlefield and fight with the foreign races, it would be purely suicide. On the battlefield of the alien races, at least the alien races of the Emperor realm would appear. If it was an Emperor realm alien race, they would definitely appear in groups. They would rarely appear alone. On the battlefield of the alien races, the ruler's secret realm could be considered as having the power to fight. Therefore, in the recent period, everyone from Shenwu world, including Long Yu, had a goal of breaking through to the ruler's secret realm. For Long Yu, this goal was relatively close, but for the others, it was quite far away. First, Long Yu was now a 5-star emperor. He was only 2 levels away from the ruler's secret realm. Second, there were no bottlenecks between Long Yu and the ruler's secret realm. If others wanted to step into the ruler's secret realm, they would need to overcome a very big bottleneck, and that was the understanding of the power of creation. This wasn't something that could be achieved in a short period of time. Little brother Long, Didn't you say that your miniature world is about to collapse? There are probably billions of living beings in there. Why didn't you send them to my miniature world earlier? Red Oriole secretly asked Long Yu with a smile. Let's wait for a while. It's too troublesome for you. After all, the Geo Dragon Emperor's miniature world is too big, and Shenwu world is also too big. There are indeed at least billions of living beings in there, perhaps even more. Long Yu said a bit awkwardly. Since the Nine Serenities realm could still hold on for a while, it was better to hold on for now. If Long Yu couldn't step into the ruler's secret realm in a month, then he would consider Red Oriole. All right, Red Oriole nodded. However, a meaningful look appeared in her beautiful eyes. When Long Yu saw this, he immediately felt a sense of unease. Could it be that Red Oriole had some kind of strange idea? Such a meaningful look, it's really hard to understand. But if Long Yu asked her what was going on now, she definitely wouldn't answer truthfully, so Long Yu gave up. Tonight's banquet could be said to be the first time Long Yu felt relaxed after coming to Beyond Heaven World after a series of tense events. Previously, at the Star River Ancient Ruins, at the King Killer Planet, at the Beast Saint Tomb, and on Planet White Feather, Long Yu had spent every moment in fear. Even when he was on the way from the Star River Ancient Ruins to the King Killer Planet, Long Yu had to constantly be on guard for any sudden danger. But now, on the Bloodfall planet, in Heaven Cliff City, Long Yu was 100% sure that there wouldn't be any sudden danger. Even if a foreign race expert invaded the Bloodfall planet, he would have enough time to react, so he wouldn't suddenly die. Therefore, Long Yu's mood was relatively good, and he couldn't be bothered to think about what Red Oriole's meaningful look meant. As Long Yu walked into the courtyard, a beautiful figure appeared in front of him. It was Yi Ziwei, who had followed Consort Yu here. Yi Ziwei followed Concubine Yu, and now she actually had the cultivation of a lower dominator, which made Long Yu rather surprised. Right now, she should have just finished visiting Thunder Emperor and Tong Zai, as well as Su Qiubai, his second senior sister, and coincidentally bumped into Long Yu. "Missy, long time no see," Long Yu said with a smile. "Yes." Yi Ziwei walked up to Long Yu, a look of longing in her beautiful eyes. "I heard about your recent deeds in the demon territory. It's really much more exciting than what I've experienced. After not seeing you for so long, you're still as powerful as before. No, you're already much more powerful than before. From today onwards, we'll all stand at the same starting point in the outer galaxy. Let's all work together." Long Yu nodded his head. Without saying anything else, he had indeed thought things through very clearly. In the future, on the battlefield of the outsiders, everyone needed to work together in order to cultivate and survive. Many information could be exchanged with each other to increase their chances of survival. "Yes." Yi Ziwei nodded cutely. She suddenly blushed and changed the topic. "I also heard that you said your senior consort Yu's disciple, and that you're Zhuo Banyan's fiancé. Ahem. That kid Qing Feng must have told you that?" Long Yu immediately coughed and shook his head. "I was just spouting nonsense. The situation was urgent, so I could only say some nonsense to divert her attention. Well, Zhuo Banyan is indeed a beauty. Moreover, her master, Chang Xia's sword, is definitely among the top 3 in the Lushan clan's hidden sword department." Yi Ziwei covered her mouth and giggled. "It would be great if I could marry her. Don't make fun of me. I've only met Zhuo Banyan once or twice. Moreover, I'm in the outer galaxy now. I'm afraid I won't have much to do with her in the future." Long Yu shook his head and smiled. He then narrowed his eyes and asked, "What about you? Have you taken a fancy to any handsome guy? Anyone who catches your eye is quite lucky." "Nonsense. Cultivating in the outer galaxy is the most important thing right now. Why would I have time to think about anything else?" Yi Ziwei giggled and directly pushed the topic of Long Yu away. "Yes." Long Yu also nodded his head. It was rare for him to be able to relax now. However, it was only during the banquet. Tomorrow morning, he would have to once again immerse himself in his intense training. Chapter 1192. Third Outer Domain Star River, Bloodfall Star, Sky Cliff City. After the banquet, everyone dispersed and returned to their respective residences. Everyone was looking forward to the future, including Long Yu. Long Yu was alone in a room in the courtyard. He was going to rest for a while and plan his next cultivation. If Long Yu wanted to improve his strength, he had to do the following. First, he had to refine the rainbow stone egg and rainbow crystal powder into heaven-defying pills. Taking the 8 extremities blood pill, void elemental pill, and devil sky elemental pill would give birth to the 8 extremities bloodline in his body. Furthermore, his compatibility with the space godly text and shadow godly text would increase by a large margin. Second, he had to continue to enter the 9 serenities prison steel and comprehend more revelation level 9 serenities godly text. However, this would take a long time and could not be done in a short period of time. Third, he had to find a way to obtain enough creations and heaven and earth spiritual chi. That way, Long Yu could quickly improve the martial Tao secret arts he cultivated and strengthen his foundation. In this regard, Long Yu's balance control had already reached the 8th layer, while his purified world physique had reached the 6th layer. If he wanted to improve these 2 attributes, he would need a lot of creation items. Additionally, there was also the Devil Dust Heart, which had only reached the 1st layer. It required a large amount of heaven and earth spiritual chi to improve. As for the 3rd layer of the secret technique of lightning fire, it wasn't very important to Long Yu. This was because it increased the power of lightning and fire attribute divine runes. Long Yu basically didn't rely on these 2 attributes to fight. Fourth, he had to improve his weapons. He could familiarize himself with the power of the Dragon Bone Ancient Tower, a top-grade, endless-level weapon. He could also try to improve his compatibility with the Duankong Sacred Spring and the Dragon Blood Sacred Diagram. Lastly, he had to find a way to improve the quality of the Void Dragon Blade. The Void Dragon Blade was only an ancient-level battle weapon. Although it had some special abilities, such as the ability to travel through the void, its quality was still too low. If possible, Long Yu naturally wanted to upgrade it. After all, this was his first unparalleled battle weapon, and it had already given birth to a consciousness. The 5th was to comprehend more of the ancient gods' forbidden techniques, the killing hell of the 4 elements. However, this was very difficult, and it was not something that Long Yu could comprehend whenever he wanted to. It would depend on luck and opportunity. The most important thing right now is to reach the sovereign mystic realm first. Everything else can be put aside for now. Only by entering the sovereign mystic realm can my inner world be transformed into a small world, giving birth to the power of creation and continuously creating the spiritual energy of heaven and earth so that the people in the 9 serenities realm can have a place to live. Long Yu made up his mind, so there was no need to think about what to do next. First, he would go to the battlefield of the foreign races and complete the monthly Battle Legion mission. After obtaining the rewards, he would be able to exchange for some creation items to help him improve his martial Tao. At the same time, if Long Yu encountered the foreign races while completing the Battle Legion mission, he would be able to have a good battle and improve the level of the Berserker Heavenly Body's endless level martial skill. It was worth mentioning that Long Yu had brought all the peak Emperor Realm experts out of the 9 Serenities realm and taught them the Berserker Heavenly Body's endless level martial skill. At the very least, they would be able to cultivate it to the same level as Long Yu, which was the minor completion level. This martial skill was obtained by Long Yu from the Bone Race's survivors. Among the survivors of the Bone Race, there were many ancient human race and monster race martial skills and divine formations, which were very precious. If there were no accidents, Long Yu would be able to obtain a copy every year, which would have a great effect on the improvement of the strength of Long Yu and the people around him. It's impossible to improve by staying in the Heaven Cliff City, so I can only take the initiative to seek battle to improve. Once a month is not enough. Long Yu thought in his heart, planning for the future. The Battle Legion mission of the foreign races wasn't something that everyone could only accept once a month. Once a month was the minimum. If one didn't do it once a month, they would be driven out of the outer domain Star River. However, if someone wanted to do the Battle Legion mission frequently, the Battle Legion mission would definitely welcome them. The more Battle Legion missions one completed, the more battle merit points one would obtain, and the better things one could exchange for in the Battle Legion mission. For Long Yu, this could be considered a channel for cultivation resources. With Long Yu's current means, the most suitable thing for him to do was to investigate. Just like when he was in the holy city of the Five Emperors, he had the Book of Shadows. If he wanted to escape, unless it was a great ruler on the level of Master Hozun, Shueluo, or Consort Yu, no one would be able to catch him. Since that's the case, I'll have to see if there are any missions I can accept tomorrow. If there are, I'll directly accept and prepare to complete them. Long Yu thought in his heart, wondering if he was being a little too hasty. However, time was too tight for him, so being hasty was inevitable. If the mission was simple, Long Yu could lend the 9 underworld prison steel to Consort Yu for a month before leaving. Perhaps she would learn something from it. Long Yu studied the 9 underworld prison steel because he controlled the Joyo Dragon Emperor's 9 underworld imprint. Therefore, he was able to gradually copy the Joyo Dragon Emperor's understanding and comprehension of the 9 underworld prison steel. If it was Consort Yu, perhaps she would be able to comprehend something from it. No one could say for sure. If Long Yu went to the battlefield to complete a mission, bringing the 9 underworld prison steel would be useless. In any case, he couldn't use it as a shield like before. This was because the situation on the battlefield was constantly changing. Once the 9 underworld prison steel erupted, even if Long Yu hid inside the 9 underworld prison steel, when he came out, no one knew what would happen outside. It was very likely that he would be surrounded by a large group of foreign race experts. Therefore, if he encountered any danger, he could just use the Book of Shadows to escape. There was no need to take out the 9 underworld prison steel. Because of this, it was fine to lend it to Consort Yu for a month. Consort Yu would go with Shueluo to a foreign race ancient site in a month's time. It would be very dangerous. If she could comprehend something from the 9 underworld prison steel during this time, it would increase her chances of success. After making these decisions, Long Yu prepared to rest. To be honest, he hadn't had a good rest for a long time. Although with his current cultivation level, it wouldn't matter even if he didn't sleep for a year, but if he slept, his energy would be much better. It was still beneficial to a cultivator. Before this, Long Yu hadn't had a good place to rest. Now that he was here, he finally had a chance to rest. In Skycliff City, night fell and time passed. Suddenly, Long Yu woke up from his deep sleep because he felt as if someone had entered his room. Who is it? Long Yu subconsciously asked. At the same time, he prepared to use his divine ability. However, he didn't get an answer. He only felt a hot and warm body suddenly burrowing into his bed, causing him to be stunned. Red Oriole? Long Yu felt a familiar aura from the other party and recognized her immediately. However, at this moment, Long Yu's heart collapsed. This blood demon race's first princess actually burrowed into his bed in the middle of the night. Long Yu wasn't a 3-year-old child. He naturally knew what the other party was thinking by burrowing into his bed at this time. However, he found it hard to believe. Did this blood demon princess really like him? According to Red Lord, this sister of his had a lot of tricks up her sleeve. This blood demon princess, was she here to mess with him? Sure. Red Oriole let out a soft sound, and then her body in the bed stuck close to Long Yu. Don't think too much at this time. Long Yu was speechless. In this situation, how could he not think too much? However, Red Oriole didn't give him any chance to defend or resist. Even if Long Yu wanted to resist, how could he resist? The other party was an upper dominator level expert. Moreover, she was an existence that could fight with ordinary great dominator level experts. Long Yu didn't have the ability to resist, even if he wanted to. Probably no one would have thought that the princess of the Blood Demon clan would suddenly crawl into Long Yu's bed and do some weird things at such a moment. If it were anyone else, they would have been overjoyed by such a good thing that came knocking on their door. Only Long Yu was still hesitating at this time because he really didn't know if this Red Oriole was really interested in him or if she just wanted to mess with him. If it was the latter, Wouldn't he lose a lot of face if he just compromised like this? Hey, what are you thinking? Red Oriole flipped over and pressed down on Long Yu's body, hatefully asking. In the darkness, he couldn't see her appearance or expression, but Long Yu could smell the faint fragrance coming from her body. It was an irresistible allure. I'm thinking, what if you play with me? Long Yu said in bewilderment. If I want to play with you, can you resist? Red Oriole giggled. If I don't play with you earlier, I'm afraid you'll be played by someone else. Didn't you see how those girls looked at you at the banquet just now? What she said was the truth. Long Yu himself was very clear that there were many girls who came out of Shenwu World, and many of them liked him, but he never accepted them. Right now, he obviously didn't want to accept Red Oriole, but in Red Oriole's words, could he resist? Moreover, this blood demon princess was indeed very cute. If Long Yu didn't have any reaction when she burrowed into his bed, he wouldn't be a man. Chapter 1193. Early morning. Not too far away from Bloodfall Star was one of the 6 great divine rune sources of the 3rd domain Star River. It emitted a brilliant light that illuminated the surrounding hundreds of cultivation planets. As Bloodfall Star rotated, night finally passed in Sky Cliff City, ushering in another morning. This morning was a normal morning for the average person, but for Long Yu, it was a turning point in his life. Because last night, he had encountered a completely unexpected accident. In the middle of the night, the Blood Yao princess had snuck into his bed and spent the entire night with him. As for what the two of them had done, there was no need to explain. In Red Oriole's words, they had snatched the initiative. Moreover, Red Oriole's personality was like this. She would never be afraid of something she liked. She would directly snatch it away. Now, Long Yu had finally fallen in her hands. Only when the light of the divine rune source shone through the window did Red Oriole slowly get out of bed. She put on her clothes and lazily prepared to leave the room before Long Yu. Although she had acted boldly in front of Long Yu, she still didn't dare to openly expose her relationship with Long Yu. Thus, she still wanted to quietly leave Long Yu's room. That's right, Red Oriole, since things have already come to this, I will first move the beings of the 9 Nether Realm to your miniature world. This is to prevent the miniature world from suddenly collapsing and causing the beings within to lose their lives. Long Yu said to Red Oriole after some thought. Weren't you unwilling before? Red Oriole rolled her eyes at him. That was before, this is now. Also, I have a secret to tell you. Long Yu smiled, got up, and put on his clothes. At the same time, he said, in addition to the 100,000 White Feather Monster Clan clans, there are also 300,000 Bone Clan clansmen in my small world. You can't expose this secret to anyone. Since Red Oriole had taken the initiative to sneak into Long Yu's bed, there were some things that Long Yu didn't need to hide from her. In any case, she would find out sooner or later, so it was better to be honest with her so that there wouldn't be any problems later. The Bone Race. Hearing Long Yu's words, Red Oriole's expression changed slightly. I didn't think that the rumors of the Bone Race still existing were true, and in your little world at that. I met it when I was in the ancient ruins of the galaxy. Long Yu briefly explained what had happened while observing Red Oriole's expression. It was only when he discovered that she didn't seem to have much of an aversion towards the Bone Race's vestigial clansmen that he relaxed. Since that's the case, let them come to my small world. It's all the same to them anyway. Don't worry, little brother dragon. I definitely won't tell anyone about this secret. Red Oriole leaned over and kissed Long Yu on the cheek. Then, she giggled and turned around to leave. In that case, take the initiative to look for me tonight. When the time comes, I'll transfer all the living beings in the Netherworld realm over. All right. Long Yu nodded. Red Oriole's room wasn't far from Long Yu's, so it didn't matter who she looked for. Moreover, Long Yu wasn't planning on leaving today. He wanted to find Consort Yu and lend the 9 Hell Tablet to Consort Yu first. It seemed that only Long Yu and Red Oriole knew what had happened last night, but Long Yu quickly learned that this wasn't the case. After Red Oriole left, Long Yu rested for a moment before getting up and heading to Consort Yu's residence. Long Yu always had a respectful attitude towards Consort Yu, but when he saw Consort Yu this morning, Consort Yu looked at him with a meaningful smile. This smile made Long Yu's hair stand on end. He couldn't help but ask, "Senior Consort Yu, what's wrong? Is there something strange about me?" "That's not it. But last night, I wanted to look for the Blood Demon Princess and thank her for staying with you and protecting you all this time. But from the looks of it now, it doesn't seem necessary." Consort Yu smiled mysteriously. When Long Yu heard this, he immediately felt a little puzzled. It was obvious that Consort Yu hadn't been able to find Red Oriole when she went to look for Red Oriole yesterday. Red Oriole's residence wasn't far from Long Yu's, so with Consort Yu's martial arts cultivation, it was all too easy for her to find out some things. It was likely that Consort Yu already knew about the shady business between Long Yu and Red Oriole last night. Of course, Long Yu regarded Consort Yu as his senior, so it didn't matter much if she knew about it. It just made Long Yu feel a little awkward. "Well, I brought the 9 Serene prison steel. If Senior Consort Yu wants to study it, you can do so during this month. Next month, I'll be using the 9 Serene prison steel to improve myself." Long Yu immediately changed the topic. "Sorry to trouble you, but if it's convenient, why don't you tell me what you've learned from the 9 Serene prison steel?" Consort Yu had always been very curious about this. She had heard of the legend of Juyo Dragon Emperor being almost invincible a long time ago. Without a doubt, most of the powerful techniques of Juyo Dragon Emperor were definitely obtained from the 9 Serene prison steel. With regards to Consort Yu's request, Long Yu had nothing to hide. After all, if Consort Yu really wanted it, she would have snatched the 9 Serene prison steel a long time ago. Long Yu wouldn't have been able to resist at all. What could be learned from a 9 Serene prison steel wasn't considered a secret to Consort Yu. Anyway, she was going to study the 9 Serene prison steel personally soon. If she knew something in advance, it would be beneficial to her comprehension. It's mainly 2 martial arts secret techniques. The first is the body of pure world, the second is the heart of devil dust, and the last is the revelation level 9 serene divine text. Long Yu told all these things to Consort Yu, and then prepare to enter Consort Yu's small world. The 9 Serene prison steel was a very large, pitch-black stone steel. Its size was probably comparable to the entire Sky Cliff City. Therefore, Long Yu naturally couldn't take it out and hand it over to Consort Yu. He could only enter Consort Yu's small world first, and then take the 9 Serene prison steel out from the 9 Serene world. Naturally, it would appear in Consort Yu's small world. Thank you for the trouble." Consort Yu smiled and nodded. Consort Yu, who had just woken up in the morning, was wearing a snow-white chiffon. She was very flirtatious and seductive. However, Long Yu didn't look at her. To him, having one partner was enough. Since he already had Red Oriole, he wouldn't have any other thoughts. Moreover, he respected Consort Yu as a senior. Then, Consort Yu sent Long Yu into her small world. Long Yu's eyes lit up. He appeared in a void filled with immortal chi. This void was completely different from most of the pitch-black voids in the 9 Serene world. This is Consort Yu's small world. Long Yu thought to himself. He could feel the celestial chi lingering around him, and he felt a sense of enjoyment. The celestial chi was intoxicating, and if he cultivated in this environment, his cultivation speed might not increase, but his mood would definitely become very good, and there might even be some unexpected effects. Long Yu didn't know much about the immortal chi. He only knew that it was because Consort Yu had a divine absolute beginning treasure, which was the snow-white necklace. Because it had helped Long Yu resist the spatial turbulence caused by the ruins of the world, the divine absolute beginning treasure had some cracks on it. Most divine absolute beginning treasures were born with. He just didn't know if Consort Yu's snow-white necklace was born with it. If it was, as a member of the 9 Serene tribe, how could Consort Yu have such a divine, absolute, beginning treasure with immortal chi? Long Yu couldn't figure it out, so he simply stopped thinking about it. It had nothing to do with him anyway. He took out the tablet of 9 serenities from the realm of 9 serenities and placed it in the air. However, the dark aura of the tablet of 9 serenities dispelled the celestial chi from the tablet of 9 serenities. In next to no time, there wasn't a trace of immortal energy coiling around the 9th hell tablet, and only a pitch-black and ghastly space remained. An area of 5,000 kilometers had become pitch-black, ghastly, and empty. The immortal chi that originally lingered in the void was driven away by the 9 serene prison tablet. However, there was no conflict between the two sides, which surprised Long Yu a little. The divine character of 9 serene and the divine character of light usually conflict. I'm afraid that only the immortal chi of consort used divine character of 9 serene would not conflict with the divine character of 9 serene. Long Yu thought to himself. He took one last look at the 9 serene prison tablet and waved his hand twice, signaling Consort Yu to bring him out of her small world. However, Long Yu didn't wait for Concubine Yu to send him out. Instead, he saw Concubine Yu's graceful figure appear in front of him. She actually followed him in her own little world and came to Long Yu's side. I finally see the 9 serene prison tablet again. Speaking of which, what happened outside the White Feather Planet? I heard that there were more than 1,000 sovereign secret realm demonic cultivators attacking you at the same time. When Consort Yu said that, a trace of anger flashed in her eyes. No matter what, she couldn't forgive those fellows who dared to treat Long Yu like that. Fortunately, Long Yu was fine. Otherwise, she wouldn't have let the 4 demonic cultivators off easily. She would have done everything in her power to exterminate them. Once the 9 serene prison tablet is attacked by external forces, it will start to protect itself. It will erupt with the disclosure grade divine character of 9 serene, forming a whirlpool of divine character of 9 serene. Its destructive power is terrifying. Even a sovereign wouldn't be able to escape. Long Yu explained in a low voice. It was at that time that I discovered that I could enter the space inside the 9 serene prison tablet. The space inside the 9 serene prison tablet is filled with disclosure grade divine character of 9 serene. My comprehension speed isn't too slow. So that's how it is. Consort Yu nodded and looked at the 9 serene prison tablet with yearning in her eyes. I'm afraid this 9 serene prison tablet is a legendary item passed down by the gods. I believe that there are gods in this world. I just don't know where they are usually. Why can't we see them and only hear about their legends? After hearing this, Long Yu didn't know what to say. Now that Consort Yu had stepped into the demigod realm, she was almost at the peak of the beyond heavens world. Naturally, she would yearn for a higher level of martial arts. Above the demigod realm was the real gods. Chapter 1194. In Consort Yu's miniature world, immortal chi filled the air. However, there was a place where all the immortal chi had been dispersed to the side. In the center of the miniature world, there was a huge pitch-black stone tablet. This was the 9 Underworlds prison tablet. Long Yu was planning to lend it to Consort Yu for a month, and then take it back before she set off for the Outsider's ancient ruins. After all, even Consort Yu didn't know if she would encounter any danger when going to the Outsider's ancient ruins. Therefore, she couldn't bring something that didn't belong to her. In any case, it was useless to bring it along. If something happened, the 9 Underworlds prison tablet would be taken advantage of by others. Long Yu, since you're willing to lend me the 9 Underworlds prison tablet, I can't be too stingy. There's still a lot of heaven-earth spiritual chi in my miniature world. You can cultivate here for a period of time. At the very least, it should be enough for you to cultivate a new martial art to the 5th stage. Consort Yu said to Long Yu with a smile. Oh, in that case, many thanks to Senior Consort Yu. Hearing this, Long Yu's eyes lit up. Right now, he needed heaven-earth spiritual chi to raise the realm of the Devil Dustheart. However, the 9 Underworlds was about to collapse, and there wasn't much heaven-earth spiritual chi left. It wasn't enough for Long Yu. Even in other people's pocket worlds, if they wanted to provide enough heaven and earthling chi for one person to practice a martial arts secret technique to the 5th level, they would need to consume a lot of heaven and earthling chi. For example, in Yufei's pocket world, it would take a month to produce so much heaven and earthling chi. Therefore, Long Yu was too embarrassed to ask for more heaven-earth spiritual qi from other sovereign secret realm experts. After all, the miniature world and heaven-earth spiritual qi were the other party's private property. Now that Consort Yu was willing to give Long Yu so much heaven-earth spiritual qi, it could be said that it was an extremely generous benefit to Long Yu. However, it would take a long time for him to absorb so much heaven-earth spiritual qi. In that case, I'll have to stay here for a while before I set off to accept the mission. Long Yu thought in his heart, but since there was an opportunity to upgrade the Devil Dust Heart, then he could not let go of this opportunity. If he could upgrade the Devil Dust Heart to the 5th layer before he set off, then his survivability would increase to an unprecedented level. If I can cultivate the Devil Dust Heart to the 5th level, the speed at which my body is reborn will be 5 to 10 times faster than before. Long Yu had entered the interior of the 9 Underworld prison tablet before, so he had some understanding of the effects of the Devil Dust Heart. Unfortunately, Long Yu had only obtained the cultivation method for the first 3 layers of the Devil Dust Heart. He had yet to comprehend the cultivation method after that from the 9 Underworld prison tablet. You don't have to thank me. Logically speaking, the 9 Hell tablet belongs to you. Since you're willing to lend me such a treasure to comprehend, I'll definitely have to repay you with something you need. Consort Yu waved her hand, indicating that Long Yu did not need to be so polite. But I only have one secret martial art that I need to practice, which is the Devil Dust Heart that I comprehended from the 9 Hell tablet. Currently, I only have the cultivation method up to the 3rd layer, so it shouldn't need much heaven and earthling qi. Long Yu nodded and said, and then go. I'll first study this 9 Hell tablet. Consort Yu smiled sweetly, raised her hand and gathered the energy of the world, sending Long Yu to another place in the miniature world. This place was already occupied by the 9 Hell tablet, so there was no heaven and earthling qi. So if Long Yu wanted to absorb heaven and earthling qi, he could only go to another place. In the blink of an eye, Long Yu arrived at a place with extremely dense heaven and earthling qi. This was a void in Consort Yu's miniature world. It contained extremely dense heaven and earthling qi, probably comparable to the highest level of the 9 Hell heaven stairs that Long Yu had created in Shunwu world. Amazing! Long Yu couldn't help but feel a bit emotional. Perhaps because the 9 Hell realm no longer had a master, the Geo-Dragon Emperor had fallen, the heaven and earthling qi wasn't recovering very quickly. When Long Yu constructed the 9 Hell heaven stairs, all the heaven and earthling qi in the 9 Hell realm had been consumed within a year. But now, in Consort Yu's miniature world, there is actually a place similar to the highest level of the 9 Hell heaven stairs that was constantly filled with heaven and earthling qi. If one wanted to practice martial arts, they could directly come here. This was very convenient, but Consort Yu's miniature world needed the heaven and earthling qi to recover quickly. Otherwise, the entire miniature world would quickly collapse. Long Yu didn't waste any time. As soon as he arrived, he immediately began to absorb the surrounding heaven and earthling qi, gathering it all into his second heart, the Devil Dust Heart. He still remembered that he had to go to Red Oriole's room tonight and transfer all the living creatures in the 9 Hell realm into Red Oriole's miniature world. So, he wouldn't be able to practice for too long at Consort Yu's place. Of course, he couldn't waste any time. Since he had nothing to do during the day, he could just stay here and absorb the heaven and earthling qi. However, what Long Yu didn't expect was that when the Devil Dust Heart began to absorb the surrounding heaven and earthling qi, a strange phenomenon suddenly occurred. The Devil Dust Heart was actually continuously absorbing the heaven and earthling qi that Long Yu had absorbed, but its strength didn't increase. Something's wrong. Absorbing heaven and earthling qi like this doesn't seem like it's increasing the realm of this martial arts secret technique. Could it be that there's been an accident? Long Yu frowned. The Devil Dust Heart in his body was continuously absorbing the heaven and earthling qi, but there wasn't any change. This situation made Long Yu very puzzled. Logically speaking, After absorbing so much heaven and earthling chi, this devil dust heart should have some change. But now, there isn't even the slightest change. This is strange. Long Yu's eyebrows were still knitted together. He discovered that the devil dust heart was absorbing the heaven and earthling chi at a faster rate than if he were to actively absorb it. In other words, even if he didn't actively absorb the surrounding heaven and earthling chi, the devil dust heart would automatically absorb the heaven and earthling chi. This kind of situation was something that Long Yu had never seen before. But for the time being, he hadn't discovered any disadvantages. Could it be that if this devil dust heart wants to increase its realm, it needs to absorb even more heaven and earthling chi? If that's the case, then it's still fine. I'm afraid that there's some other reason that caused the devil dust heart to accidentally absorb heaven and earthling chi. What Long Yu was more worried about now was that the devil dust heart was now a part of his physical body. If there was any problem with the devil dust heart, he was afraid that he would also be out of luck. In this state, a day quickly passed. The devil dust heart continued to absorb the heaven and earthling chi, but there was no change. I'll wait for 3 days. In 3 days, with such rich heaven and earthling chi, ordinary martial arts secret skills will definitely rise to the 2nd level. At that time, if the devil dust heart still hasn't risen to the 2nd level, then I'll carefully study it and see what the reason is, Long Yu thought to himself. Right now, this was the only thing he could do. But in just 1 day, he had absorbed an unimaginable amount of heaven and earthling chi, an amount comparable to 100 high-grade, endless-grade pills. Fortunately, the heaven and earthling chi in Consort Yu's ling chi was extremely rich, so he didn't need to worry about it being sucked dry. Following that, Long Yu could only leave Consort Yu's miniature world to find Red Oriole. In Skycliff City, night gradually fell. Due to the rotation of the Bloodfall star, this hemisphere quickly reached the back of the divine rune Origins, no longer illuminating the area. Long Yu left Consort Yu's room and went straight to Red Oriole's room, preparing to keep his appointment and move all the living beings in the Nine Serenities realm into Red Oriole's miniature world. This was a massive undertaking, and the most difficult part was still on Red Oriole's side. After all, Shunwu world was several trillion li in circumference. If she wanted to move so many living beings, Red Oriole would first have to create a continent of the same size as Shunwu world in her miniature world. This would require a lot of world energy. Since Red Oriole had told Long Yu to find her knight, she must have created this continent in a single day. Even thinking about it, Long Yu knew that she must have been working very hard. When Long Yu arrived outside Red Oriole's room, he found that the room was currently surrounded by a barrier, making it impossible for outsiders to enter. Seems like it's not done yet. As Long Yu thought about it, he could only wait outside her room. While waiting, Long Yu didn't have much to do, so he recalled what happened at the banquet last night. The overall atmosphere was quite good, especially when Red Oriole took out those endless grade fighters. Grandmaster Weapon Refiner Wei Yuyin from the human race had helped Red Oriole reforge an unbounded grade battle weapon, 3 high-grade unbounded grade battle weapons, and 15 mid-grade unbounded grade battle weapons. These unbounded grade battle weapons were considered priceless, but Red Oriole had taken out a total of 18 high-grade and mid-grade unbounded grade battle weapons and distributed them to Long Yu's friends. The distribution of fighters was very particular. It depended on whether or not the user's attributes were compatible with the fighter's attributes. Although attribute compatibility was only a problem for divine absolute beginning grade fighters, when it came to endless grade fighters, it was obvious that if the attributes were compatible, the fighter would be able to unleash greater power. Although there were a lot of endless class soldiers in this batch, Long Yu had even more friends. Therefore, there were still a lot of people who didn't get their hands on one. Red Oriole took out some of the Archean and Primordial class soldiers she had collected and tried to make sure everyone got stronger. Everyone who leaves Shunwu world and comes to Shui Luo Star Sky Cliff City will have to face the cruelty of life in the Outer Star River from now on. Many times they'll have to face danger. With such a powerful weapon, their lives will be much more secure. It was very likely that an endless grade fighter like this would allow them to survive in the dangerous battlefield of the outsiders and give them a chance to reach higher realms of the martial way. Because of this, almost everyone was very grateful to Red Oriole. Even though Red Oriole had said that she and Long Yu had gotten these endless grade fighters together, they still had a very good impression of her. That girl seems to have come prepared. Chapter 1195. After waiting for a while, night had completely fallen, but the barrier outside Red Oriole's room was still there. It seemed that she had spent quite a bit of effort to create a new continent in her mini-world. To Long Yu, waiting a bit longer was fine. Moreover, it was about time, so he waited outside Red Oriole's room. Around midnight, the barrier outside Red Oriole's room finally dissipated. A beautiful figure appeared at the door and pulled Long Yu into the room. "I'm so tired, but it's finally done. Come into my mini-world and take a look at the new continent I just created for you." Red Oriole giggled and pulled Long Yu into her mini-world. Because Long Yu and her already had a very intimate relationship last night, Long Yu did not resist and directly entered the other party's small world. Originally, the places he had been to before were all blood red, but now, what appeared in front of him was a beautiful scenery. "So this is the new continent you just created?" Long Yu's eyes lit up. He looked around and saw that this was a place similar to the Shunwu world from before. Since he and Red Oriole were already on this continent, they naturally couldn't see the end of it. There wasn't a single living being on this new continent, not even flowers or trees. It was just an empty shell waiting for Long Yu to bring the living beings of Shunwu world to this continent. Let's call this continent the new martial world. Consider it a commemoration of the original Shunwu world from your mini-world. Red Oriole said with a bit of emotion. It must have taken quite a bit to create this continent. Long Yu said with a smile as he pulled Hong Ying's delicate body into his embrace. Since they had already reached the most intimate level, there was no need to be secretive. In any case, she was his woman. Fortunately, the 100,000 white feather monstrous clan members can also live here. Red Oriole nodded and obediently snuggled into Long Yu's embrace. She seemed to have become a lot gentler. However, you still have 300,000 bone clan members in your mini-world, so you can't stay here. This secret can't be known by anyone. Do you have any other empty space in your mini-world? Long Yu asked. Of course I do. I've already prepared it, otherwise it wouldn't have taken so long. Red Oriole smiled and raised her hand. World energy gathered around the two of them and brought them to another location in her mini-world. In this corner was a void with nothing. Of course, the world energy was still quite abundant. Red Oriole had constructed a spatial barrier around the area, reinforcing it with world energy to ensure that the Bone Clan members couldn't leave this place. In any case, according to what Long Yu had said, he had only promised the Bone race a stable living environment. As for freedom, there was no guarantee. Long Yu and Red Oriole would never allow the Bone race's clansmen to run around. Move the Bone Clan members over here. I'll keep a close eye on them. Red Oriole was quite expectant. Didn't they say that they would hand over an unbounded martial skill every year? And they're even allowed to choose? If it's a human unbounded martial skill, I'll give it to you. If it's a beast unbounded martial skill, I'll take it for myself. There's still half a year until the next appointment. I hope we can live until then. Long Yu smiled and said, What are you talking about? With me here, there's no way you'll die so quickly. Red Oriole rolled her eyes at him and spitefully said, Enough nonsense. Hurry up and move the people of Shunwu world here. This is a big project. Listen to me. The structures you'll be building in this neo-martial world are all iconic structures. Long Yu then explained the layout of the original Shunwu world to her. The main thing was that the 5 emperors' holy city and sanctum still needed to be built. After all, after moving to this side, the 9 netherworld sky stairwell and the parallel barrier definitely could not be built anymore, so the original sacred cities of 5 emperors and the Holy Tower should still exist. Otherwise, the entire new martial world would not have a center, and it would not be easy to manage. The alliance of 5 emperors still needed to exist and maintain order in the neo-martial world. Long Yu could only do his best to return everything to its original state, so that the living beings of Shun Wu world wouldn't be affected too much when they came here. Speaking of which, if all of these living beings come to the neo-martial world, the power of my mini-world that I can use at critical moments will become even stronger, but I'll have to take on more spirit energy for them to cultivate. Red Oriole smiled and said, I still have a lot of spirit energy, so I can barely take care of so many people. Then I'll have to trouble you. When do you plan to complete the battlefield core mission? Long Yu asked. I need to reach Great Ruler Realm as soon as possible, so I want to leave as soon as possible. How about it? Do you want to come with me? Red Oriole asked with a bit of anticipation. You're not weak, not to mention that you were able to protect me in times of danger. If you come with me to accept the battlefield core mission, you can try a Great Ruler Realm mission. Why don't you wait for me for 2 more days? After 2 days, I will go with you. In these 2 days, I will try to absorb the spiritual chi of heaven and earth in Senior Yu Fei's small world and improve the Devil Dust Heart's martial arts secret technique. Long Yu suggested, how about you stay here and cultivate? If you go to Consort Yu's place, I'll get jealous. Red Oriole raised her eyebrows and scoffed. This made Long Yu a bit speechless. Trillions of living beings are about to enter your mini-world. Are you sure there'll be enough spirit energy for me to cultivate my martial arts secret arts at that time? That's true. Go ahead. I'm just joking, Red Oriole giggled. You little brat, you actually thought I was joking. Don't talk nonsense. Do you think I'm small? Long Yu glanced at her. Scram. Red Oriole raised her hand and sent Long Yu flying. Following that, Long Yu began to move the people of Shenwu world into Red Oriole's mini-world. This was a relatively long process, but compared to Red Oriole creating the entire continent of Shenwu world, it was still a lot more convenient. From inside Red Oriole's mini-world, Long Yu only needed to activate the 9 Serenities marked to use the power of the 9 Serenities realm and directly transport the living beings of Shenwu world outside of the 9 Serenities realm, which was also Red Oriole's mini-world. Of course, Long Yu wouldn't teleport them one by one. That would be too slow, so he directly teleported them from one region to another, basically going from one country to another. The Northern Snow Empire was first transported here by Long Yu. Its entire territory was still floating around the Sanctum Tower at the center of the Neo-Martial world. The Sanctum Tower was created by Red Oriole, so it wasn't much different from the previous Sanctum Tower. As the territory of the Northern Snow Empire was transported here, all the living beings of the Northern Snow Empire, including human martial cultivators and beast cultivators, as well as the flora and fauna, appeared in this neo-martial world. Following that were the other countries, such as the Holy City of the 5 Emperors, as well as the 6 sects and 10 countries around the Holy City of the 5 Emperors, all of which were transported by Long Yu from the 9 Serenities realm and placed in the neo-martial world. It took a lot of time for Long Yu to transport all the living beings of the 9 Serenities realm to the neo-martial world. Fortunately, he had mastered 80% of the 9 Serenities mark, so the speed of the transfer was relatively fast. It would only take him about a night to complete. At this time, the father and son duo Thunder and Qingfeng were both in the 9 Serenities realm, accompanying their 100,000 white feather monstrous clan members. The father and son duo had also been transported out of the 9 Serenities realm by Long Yu. You two find a place on the neo-martial continent. That will be the place where your 100,000 white feather monstrous clan members will live from now on. Long Yu said to them. Thunder and Qingfeng nodded, then went their separate ways. They already knew that Long Yu wanted to transport all the living beings in the 9 Serenities realm, so they had already made preparations. As Long Yu busied himself, the entire neo-martial world became lively. However, the majority of people didn't know that they had already changed their living environment. Because Long Yu had transported the entirety of Shenwu world out, it didn't alarm the majority of the living beings. Only the living beings who happened to be at the borders of the various countries were able to sense the fluctuations of world energy and spatial divine runes, but they didn't know what was going on. Everything quickly returned to normal. For the majority of living beings in Shenwu world, their lives hadn't changed at all. Not long after, the father and son duo Thunder and Qing Feng found a place that they liked. It was a large canyon in the Neo-Martial world. The cultivation environment and conditions in the canyon were quite good, so they planned to have all 100,000 White Feather Monsters clan members live there. Of course, Long Yu didn't have any objections to this. He quickly transported all 100,000 White Feather Monsters clan members out and settled them down in the canyon. Right, little brother Long Yu, does your friend have the White Feather Immortal Beast bloodline? Thunder sighed in relief, then asked Long Yu. If you have time, you can have her come to our place to play. After all, even I haven't seen the White Feather Immortal Beast bloodline before. I only heard that it existed a long time ago, so everyone in our clan wants to see it. No problem. I'll tell her about it later. Long Yu smiled and nodded. The portion of the White Feather Monsters clan that was still on the White Feather planet was already an absolute enemy to Long Yu. However, the clans of the Heavenly Thunder and Qing Feng clans were his staunch allies. I heard that those guys on planet White Feather even gave the Immortal Cloud Wings martial arts technique to the Saint Emperor. What a great deal. Chapter 1196. When Long Yu thought of this matter, he was in a good mood. The White Feather Demon clan on planet Bayou were truly asking for trouble. The four great Demon Clan Alliance had suffered heavy losses this time, and it was all because they had brought it upon themselves. Very soon, Long Yu had transferred all the living beings on the mainland of Shenwu world to the new martial world. It had only been half a night, but he finally ran into some trouble. When he transferred other living beings, he transferred some of the land under their feet, covering the land of the new martial world. But in the end, when there were still some living beings on the floating islands that hadn't been transferred, Long Yu felt that something was wrong, because he couldn't use the power of the world to transfer these floating islands away. Originally, Long Yu had wanted to directly teleport all these floating islands to the new martial world. But he didn't expect that even though he had comprehended 80% of the 9 Nethermark, he couldn't even teleport a single floating island out. These 108,000 floating islands, including the Heavenly Mandate Island that I came from, are rumored to be sealing something. Long Yu's brows slightly furrowed as he recalled a legend he had heard a long time ago. These floating islands had formed a formation that was sealing an extremely terrifying existence. As for what kind of existence it was, no one knew. After all, it was only a legend in Shenwu world, and the cultivation level of the living beings on Shenwu world was still too low. There's no other way. Looks like I'll have to get Red Oriole's help to build 108,000 floating islands. Otherwise, the living beings on these islands won't have a place to settle down. Long Yu thought helplessly. Most of the floating islands were covered by the Thousand Sky Shield, and the people on the floating islands rarely had any contact with the outside world. So, if the living beings on these floating islands were to be transferred to the mainland of the new martial world, it would definitely cause a lot of trouble and cause unnecessary trouble for Red Oriole. So, Long Yu called Red Oriole over and asked her to help build 108,000 floating islands above the new martial world to settle down the living beings on these floating islands. You're saying that there seems to be something sealed in those 108,000 floating islands, and they can't be moved? Hearing Long Yu's words, Red Oriole also frowned a little. That Shenwu world is Jiuyo Dragon Emperor's miniature world. Back then, Jiuyo Dragon Emperor was definitely a demigod realm powerhouse, right? An existence that even he had to seal. It must be something terrifying. I don't know. Even if I control 80% of the 9 Nethermark, I won't be able to sense anything. I'm afraid I'll have to wait until I enter the Sovereign's secret realm and try to control 100% of the 9 Nethermark. Long Yu shook his head and said, Anyway, don't touch the seal for the time being. Otherwise, it might cause some big trouble. After all, it's an existence from who knows how many years ago. In this netherworld realm of yours, just the 9 underworlds tablet alone is mysterious enough. If you don't handle it well, it will definitely bring a huge disaster to us, or even the entire demon race and human race. Red Oriole said solemnly. Don't worry, do you think I don't know that? Longyu smiled and patted her shoulder. Let's hurry up and settle things here. Red Oriole didn't waste any time. She immediately activated her world energy and constructed 108,000 floating islands above the new martial world. According to Long Yu's request, she added 1,000 layers of barriers similar to the Heaven Star Barrier to simulate the environment of the floating islands. Those 1,000 layers of Heaven Star Barrier on the floating islands of the Netherworld realm are probably the key to the seal. If there really is a seal, as long as I destroy those Heaven Star Barrier, I'll be able to get a glimpse of it. However, it's best not to touch it for the time being. Long Yu thought to himself. As he watched Red Oriole construct floating island after floating island, he felt quite gratified. This girl wasn't careless at all when it came to proper business. Although she seemed a bit fierce normally, she was actually quite easy to talk to. As one floating island after another was created by Red Oriole using her world energy, Long Yu didn't wait for her to finish and began to teleport the living beings on the floating islands. These living beings could sense the changes in their surroundings. After all, the floating islands Red Oriole had created were definitely very different from the original floating islands. However, there was no other way. Long Yu couldn't teleport along with the floating islands, so he could only let the living beings on the floating islands experience the strange spatial shift. Suddenly arriving in a strange place would definitely make them feel indescribably terrified. However, there was a barrier around the floating islands anyway, so they wouldn't be able to cause a commotion in other parts of the new martial world. After a while, they would get used to the new environment, and there wouldn't be any problems. However, today's spatial shift would probably traumatize these living beings, but none of this had anything to do with Long Yu. In any case, Long Yu had already saved them by teleporting them to the new martial world. Otherwise, once the power of the Death Star Vortex spread throughout the entire 9 Nether Realm, none of these living beings would be able to survive. That would be the doomsday of all living beings in the 9 Nether Realm. There wouldn't be too many changes in the other parts of the 9 Nether Realm, but even if Long Yu wanted to return to the 9 Nether Realm, it would be quite difficult. He would have to gather the world energy to resist the power of the Death Star Vortex. Of course, since Shunwu World didn't have any living beings left, Long Yu didn't need to return to the 9 Serenities realm. The next thing he needed to think about was how to use the fragments of the small worlds he obtained from before to try and fix the hole in the 9 Serenities realm. If he found a fragment of a small world with a suitable attribute, he might be able to do it. This wouldn't increase Long Yu's strength, so he wasn't in a hurry. He would study it when he had the time. As time passed, the sky outside Sky Cliff City gradually brightened. The radiance of the origin of divine runes once again shone upon the magnificent Sky Cliff City. And in Long Yu's small world, the construction of the new martial world was also nearing completion. At dawn, Long Yu had finally teleported all the living beings in the 9 Nether Realm to the new martial world. As a result, Long Yu felt that if he wanted to use the power of the small world in a crisis, it would be much weaker than before. If he used the power of all the living beings in the 9 Nether Realm before, then after absorbing a portion of their power, he would definitely be able to display a power that was 5 or even 10 times stronger than his own. But now, there are no living beings in the 9 Nether Realm. If he used the power of the 9 Nether Realm small world, it wouldn't be of much use. Right now, the only thing that the 9 Nether Realm could increase his strength was the innate divine abilities of the Joyo Dragon Emperor. In any case, I've almost never used the power of the living beings in the small world before. If I teleport them away, it won't have much of an impact on my combat strength, so there's no need to worry too much about it. And in any case, I'll just be teleported to Red Oriole's small world, so my strength won't be weakened. Long Yu was very open-minded about this. Red Oriole was now his woman. If his woman's strength increased, it would mean the same thing to him. At this stage, if they wanted to accept a great ruler-level mission, then they would have to rely on Red Oriole. At most, Long Yu would be able to do some scouting and escape missions. In a frontal battle, it was impossible for Long Yu to fight against a great ruler-level alien race. You've worked hard. After everything was done, Long Yu found Red Oriole and expressed his gratitude to her. Then do you want to express your gratitude? I've worked so hard, so you should also work hard. Red Oriole slyly smiled. What do you want me to help you with? As long as I can do it, I definitely won't refuse. Long Yu didn't suspect anything. He smiled as he spoke. It's very simple. Just come over here. Red Oriole beckoned to Long Yu, a hint of snicker in her eyes. This caused Long Yu to feel a little anxious. Was this girl thinking of another way to mess with him? If I tell you to come over, then come over. Red Oriole saw Long Yu hesitate and immediately harumphed. She gathered the strength of the world and pulled Long Yu into her arms. Caught off guard, Long Yu was pressed against her, 10,000 words omitted below. At noon, Long Yu finally left Red Oriole's residence. As he looked at the bright divine rune origin in the sky, he sighed ruefully. In such a short period of time, an entire morning had passed. Time truly passed quickly. It's time to look for senior consort Yu. Right, I should call the Sage Emperor over and have her talk with Tianlei, Qing Feng, and the others of the white feather monster race. Long Yu thought. At the same time, he wanted to know if the Sage Emperor had already successfully cultivated the secret martial technique, the Immortal Cloud Feathers. The Immortal Cloud Feathers was a secret martial technique that only the white feather immortal monster race could cultivate. Ever since the Sage Emperor obtained it, she had been cultivating it. However, she hadn't been able to successfully cultivate it. Ever since she obtained this secret martial art technique, the feathers of the Immortal Cloud, she had followed Long Yu in the Nine Serenities prison tablet in the Nine Serenities realm for a month. In addition to the time she spent on the road, she had been practicing it. However, even when she arrived at the Sky Cliff City, she was still unable to completely master it. The main reason was that the Nine Serenities world's spirit chi was becoming increasingly sparse. The living beings of Shunwu world, even if they were on the Nine Serenities heaven stairs, couldn't obtain much spirit chi. So, after the Sage Emperor left the Nine Serenities world, she wanted to find a place with abundant spirit chi to cultivate. Chapter 1197. Long Yu went to the Saint Emperor's residence and told her about Tianlei, Qing Feng, and the other members of the White Feather Demonic clan in Red Oriole's small world. After that, he went to find Consort Yu. After absorbing the heaven and earth spiritual chi for 2 more days, Long Yu would be able to find out more about the demon Dust Heart. Red Oriole was not in a hurry to complete the Battlefield Legion mission because she wanted to familiarize herself with the unbounded combat weapon as much as possible. Only then would she be able to unleash its full power. Of course, Red Oriole told Long Yu that she herself also possessed a divine-grade absolute beginning weapon. However, she wouldn't use it unless she had no other choice. After all, it was her final and strongest trump card. On top of that, the innate divine fruit in the illusion world of the Blood Realm had been damaged in her small world. She would not be able to recover in a short period of time, so her combat strength was greatly reduced. If she did not familiarize herself with the unbounded combat weapon, her combat strength would be even weaker than before, and it would be very dangerous for her to complete the Legion mission. In Consort Yu's small world, Long Yu once again came to this place and continued to absorb the dense heaven and earth spiritual chi, allowing the devil Dust Heart to continue devouring it. After a day, Long Yu once again absorbed the heaven and earth spiritual chi, but he still did not feel any change in the devil Dust Heart. Long Yu's second heart continued to absorb the surrounding heaven and earth spiritual chi, but there was no reaction at all, as if it was a bottomless pit that devoured heaven and earth spiritual chi. I'll try to absorb more. It's possible that the demon Dust Heart is only showing no reaction on the surface, but it's actually growing stronger. Long Yu was a little puzzled, but he had no other choice. He could only let the demon Dust Heart continue to absorb the heaven and earth spiritual chi. If there was still no reaction after 3 days, he would have to think of another way. As the demon Dust Heart continued to absorb the heaven and earth spiritual chi, the rich heaven and earth spiritual chi stored in Consort Yu's small world was being depleted, and there was no time for it to be replenished. The demon Dust Heart's speed of absorbing heaven and earth spiritual chi was simply too fast. If it was said that the amount of heaven and earth spiritual chi absorbed from the first to the second level of a normal martial arts secret technique was 1, then the amount of heaven and earth spiritual chi absorbed by the Devil Dust Heart was at least 10 times more than that. In other words, the amount of heaven and earth spiritual chi that the Devil Dust Heart absorbed every day was enough for a martial cultivator to cultivate from the first level to the second level of an ordinary martial art 3 times. In other words, the demon Dust Heart was at least 10 times more difficult to practice than ordinary secret martial arts. Moreover, if there were no changes to the demon Dust Heart after 3 days, then the situation would be even more complicated than Long Yu had imagined. Even Consort Yu was shocked by the speed at which Long Yu absorbed the spiritual chi of heaven and earth. Now, Consort Yu knew that Long Yu had cultivated the pure world body and the demon Dust Heart, both of which were powerful secret martial arts that he had comprehended from the 9 Serene prison tablet. However, she did not expect that the demon Dust Heart required such a terrifying amount of heaven and earth spiritual chi to cultivate. I don't know what other special secrets are hidden in this 9 Serene prison tablet. Unfortunately, after 2 days of observation, I have no clue at all. I can't feel any special aura from it all. Only the aura of the 9 Serene divine characters at the revelation level gave me a little insight. In her small world, Consort Yu had already stayed near the 9 Serene prison tablet for 2 days. She constantly wanted to comprehend the things in the 9 Serene prison tablet, but to no avail. She recalled what Long Yu had said. The interior of the 9 Serene prison tablet seemed to be filled with revelation level 9 Serene divine characters. It should be good to comprehend the revelation level 9 Serene divine characters. Unfortunately, without Long Yu present, Consort Yu did not dare to recklessly enter the interior of the 9 Serene prison tablet. Back then, Geo Dragon Emperor had obtained the 9 Serene prison tablet for an unknown period of time, but he only managed to comprehend 2 secret martial arts techniques. Therefore, even someone as talented as Consort Yu would not be able to comprehend anything in such a short period of time. Even with Long Yu's guidance and explanation, it was extremely difficult for her to comprehend anything in a month. In fact, it could be said that it was almost impossible. On this side, Consort Yu was in a difficult situation. On the 3rd day, Long Yu's side finally had some progress. After 3 days, Long Yu's Devil Dust Heart had almost completely absorbed all the rich spiritual energy of heaven and earth in that area. This made Consort Yu's heart ache to death. With so much spiritual energy of heaven and earth, even her small world would need a month to condense. However, Long Yu had used up all of it in 3 days. If this continued, her small world would soon dry up. Therefore, even if Long Yu wanted to continue absorbing it, it would be impossible. However, after 3 days, the second heart in Long Yu's body, the Devil Dust Heart, finally had a sudden change. Originally, the Devil Dust Heart was like a bottomless pit that swallowed spiritual energy of heaven and earth without any change. However, after 3 days, after absorbing 10 times the amount of spiritual energy of heaven and earth that other secret martial arts techniques had upgraded to the second level, its aura suddenly changed. A dense and strange feeling suddenly enveloped Long Yu's entire body. A boundless, dense aura surrounded Long Yu's entire body from the inside out, as if it was probing and searching his physical body. However, during this period of time, Long Yu did not feel any discomfort. After a full 4 hours, the dense aura in Long Yu's body finally slowly dissipated, allowing him to breathe a sigh of relief. This is considered to have upgraded to the second level. It doesn't seem to have changed much. However, I believe that the speed at which my physical body regenerates is many times faster than before. Even if my physical body is completely destroyed, I will be able to completely regenerate within a day. Long Yu thought to himself. Of course, he was very excited about this change. Previously, it would take him 3 days to regenerate his physical body with the Devil Dust Heart. Of course, it would not have taken so long if it was only a part of his physical body. However, the time needed for his physical body to regenerate had been reduced by 3 times. 3 days in the past, but 1 day now. He had also used the Devil Dust Heart when he was dueling with the third prince of the Golden Flood Dragon Demon race. However, at that time, the third prince of the Golden Flood Dragon Demon race did not completely destroy his physical body. Therefore, it only took him a little time to completely regenerate. If he were to regenerate now, the speed would be 3 times faster. In that case, the third prince would have even less of a chance, and Long Yu would be able to fight more easily. Alright, in this state, coupled with the fact that the ancient dragon skeleton tower has been completely repaired, even if I have to go to the army on the battlefield to accept the mission, it should be fine. Long Yu was very confident in his current strength. What he had to do next was to prepare to set off and complete the army on the battlefield. Then, he would obtain the battlefield merit and exchange it for some cultivation resources. However, before Long Yu left Consort Yu's miniature world, he was asked by Consort Yu to bring her to the interior of the 9 Abyss Prison Steel. Long Yu was a little hesitant because he was not sure if anyone else could enter the interior of the 9 Abyss Prison Steel and be fine. However, since Consort Yu insisted that he bring her in, he could not refuse. The interior of the 9 Abyss Prison Steel is very rich with revelation-level divine text of 9 Abyss. If you do not comprehend the origin-level divine text of 9 Abyss, you will definitely die if you enter rashly. Both your body and soul will be corroded. Long Yu said to Consort Yu, Senior Consort Yu has naturally comprehended the origin-level divine text of 9 Abyss. However, this is only the basic condition to enter the interior of the 9 Abyss Prison Steel. As for whether there are other conditions, I do not know. We can only give it a try. It should not be a problem. Consort Yu said in a low voice. She knew that entering rashly was an extremely dangerous thing to do. However, she had to give it a try for the sake of the trip to the ruins of the foreign races in half a month's time. The danger of exploring the ruins of the foreign races could be said to be second only to barging into the territory of other foreign races. One careless mistake could lead to death. Even if it was just a little bit, it would sometimes increase her chances of survival in the ruins of the foreign races. Needless to say, if she could comprehend 10% of the revelation-level divine text of 9 Abyss in a month like Long Yu, her overall strength would at least double. For an expert at Consort Yu's level, it was extremely difficult to increase her strength further. Her innate mystique could not be improved any further. Most of the martial skills she had mastered had already been cultivated to the transformative stage. Her combat weapon had also reached at least the spirit fusion stage. It was simply too difficult to improve her strength, only in terms of comprehension of divine runes. If she could transform the quintessence divine rune of the 9th Hell into the revelation divine rune of the 9th Hell, then the improvement of her strength could simply be said to be as swift as a rocket. At the level of great sovereigns, Consort Yu was currently close to being invincible. Perhaps she would only lose to super experts like Master Baiyun who had 1 foot in the demigod realm. If Consort Yu could really comprehend the revelation-level divine text of 9 Abyss, then her overall strength would increase to a terrifying level. Then, you should first enter the 9 Abyss realm. Right now, the 9 Abyss realm has not been completely occupied by the Death Star Whirlpool. You could still stay there for a while. Since Consort Yu had made her decision, Long Yu could not change her mind. He could only say in a low voice, I will first enter the inner space of the 9 Abyss prison tablet by myself. Then, I will slowly release you from the 9 Abyss realm. If there is any danger, you should immediately return. If there is no problem, then you can cultivate and comprehend the revelation-level divine text of 9 Abyss. Okay. Consort Yu nodded, expressing her agreement with Long Yu's arrangement. Their expressions became extremely solemn, because they knew too little about the 9 Abyss prison tablet. If they were not careful, they might cause a disaster. Chapter 1198. Long Yu had already been inside the 9 Hell prison steel once, so it would not be a problem for him to enter it again. The interior of the 9 Hell prison steel was still filled with dense 9 Hell divine text, which surrounded Long Yu in the middle. As long as he breathed casually, he would be able to inhale the prophet level 9 Hell divine text into his body, allowing him to comprehend it. Senior Consort Yu, get ready. Long Yu took a deep breath, then activated the 9 Hell mark and used the power of the world to gradually send Consort Yu out of the 9 Hell world. Long Yu's main concern was that the ethereal divine chi on Consort Yu's body might conflict with the 9 Hell prison steel. If she had only comprehended the 9 Hell divine text, Long Yu would not have been so worried. However, it turned out that Long Yu's worry was completely unnecessary. Just like the situation in Consort Yu's small world, the ethereal divine chi and the 9 Hell divine text interacted with each other and got along perfectly without any conflict. Now that Consort Yu had arrived inside the 9 Hell prison steel, the situation was almost the same. Even though Consort Yu's divine chi was ethereal, it did not conflict with the prophet level 9 Hell divine text. Instead, the two of them got along perfectly. Seeing this, Long Yu let out a sigh of relief. Senior Consort Yu, it looks like there's no problem. Then, you can cultivate here. Your talent is not worse than mine. In a month's time, you should be able to comprehend at least 10% of the prophet level 9 Hell divine text, which will double the strength of your divine text. Long Yu smiled and transmitted his voice to Consort Yu. Thank you very much, Long Yu. Then, I'll see you in a month's time. Consort Yu's eyes were bright, and she pursed her lips into a smile. Then, she started to comprehend the enlightenment level 9 nether divine text. Time was of the essence, and she didn't want to waste any time. Of course, Long Yu wouldn't disturb her. He had his own things to do. Seeing that Consort Yu had started to cultivate, he quietly left the space inside the 9 Hell tablet. The Battlefield Legion was an organization created by the Spirit Beast clan and the humankind. It was the strongest force that the two clans could use to fight against the non-humankind. To put it simply, if the army on the battlefield suddenly disappeared, then the two races, the human clan and the demon clan, would be completely annihilated by the surrounding foreign races in less than a year, and their fate would be similar to that of the Bone Clan and the Lost Clan. From this, it could be seen how important the army was to the two races on the battlefield. However, whether it was in the territories of the Demon Clan or the Human Clan, the Battlefield Legion almost didn't care about anything. Occasionally, people from the Battlefield Legion would appear in the territories of the two races. Most of the time, the cultivators of the Battlefield Legion would be fighting against the powerful foreign races in the outer galaxies or on the battlefield of the non-humankind. Therefore, on the way from planet White Feather to the third outer galaxy, Long Yu hadn't seen what the base of the Battlefield Legion looked like. It was only after arriving at Sky Cliff City that he followed Shueluo to get his Legion order that he went to the base of the Battlefield Legion on Shueluo Star. In general, it was magnificent, domineering, and chilling. The base of the Battlefield Legion on Shueluo Star was located outside of Sky Cliff City, under a canyon. Stepping into the canyon, one would feel a chilling, murderous aura and immediately feel the atmosphere of the distant battlefield of the non-humankind. After coming out of Consort Yu's little world, Long Yu and Red Oriole finally arrived at the magnificent and chilling base of the Battlefield Legion. Who goes there? At the entrance of the Battlefield Legion's base, there are more than 10 Sovereign Realm experts standing guard at all times. Among them, there were two great sovereign realm experts. Both were elites of the demonic race. They were tall and sturdy, and it was unknown which race they belonged to. Seeing Long Yu and Red Oriole approaching, the guards immediately called out to them. Battlefield Mercenary of Shuel Luo Star, Red Oriole. Battlefield Mercenary of Shuel Luo Star, Long Yu. Long Yu and Red Oriole announced their identities and took out their respective legion orders to show their identities. Battlefield Mercenary was an unofficial member of the Battlefield Legion. If a cultivator from the demonic race's territory came to the outer galaxy to train, he would be a battlefield mercenary, just like Long Yu and Red Oriole. When the Blood Demon Prince, Red Monarch, came here, he was also a battlefield mercenary. Simply put, a battlefield mercenary was just a temporary soldier. If one wanted to join the Battlefield Legion, one had to adhere to the rules of the Battlefield Legion and serve for at least 10 years. If one wasn't an extremely powerful existence, it was extremely difficult to last 10 years in the Battlefield Legion. This was because there were too many battles on the Battlefield Legion. Every year, too many experts died on the battlefield, sweating their blood and sweat to protect the territories of the two races. Of course, if one were to take into account the death rate, the Battlefield Mercenaries' death rate was definitely higher than that of the regular Battlefield Legion soldiers. The main reason was that the Battlefield Mercenaries' movements did not have an official command. When faced with an accident, it was very difficult for them to organize any effective resistance or escape. Let's go in. The 10 Sovereign Realm demonic beast experts, standing guard, stepped aside, opening a path for Long Yu and Red Oriole. Although there was only one Battlefield Legion on the entire Shuel Luo Star, there was no need to come here if one wanted to accept a mission from the Battlefield Legion. In every city on the Shuel Luo Star, there was an office for the Battlefield Legion, specifically for people to accept missions from the Battlefield Legion. Only those who wanted to accept a great sovereign-level mission would come to the headquarters of the Battlefield Legion. Naturally, these Sovereign Realm demonic beast experts had heard of Red Oriole's name. After all, the current owner of the Shuel Luo Star was Red Oriole's cousin. Therefore, even though they didn't know why Red Oriole and Long Yu were here, they were still very respectful towards them. In fact, even if a random battlefield mercenary came to the Battlefield Legion's headquarters, the attitude of the guards wouldn't be too bad. After all, everyone was contributing to the defense of the demonic beast race's territory. Everyone here was worthy of respect. You can accept great sovereign-level missions here. Of course, the difficulty is frighteningly high, but as long as you can complete them, you'll definitely get a lot of Battlefield Legion contribution points. Red Oriole explained to Long Yu. In any case, I'm relying on you now. If a battle really breaks out, I won't be able to participate. At most, I can help you scout out the situation and help you escape if there's a crisis. Long Yu chuckled. It's fine as long as you can guarantee that you won't die. Red Oriole didn't have high expectations of Long Yu. Moreover, she knew that Long Yu didn't have the 9 Hell Steel on him right now. If he really encountered any danger, the chances of him dying were quite high. Although Long Yu had a lot of tricks up his sleeves in the foreign race's battlefield, peak foreign race geniuses could appear at any time. Almost no one in the same realm could be a match for them. Not to mention that Red Oriole and Long Yu were preparing to accept great sovereign-level Battlefield Legion missions. In order to obtain more Battlefield Legion contribution points and exchange them for enough creation items and cultivation resources, the two decided to take the risk and directly accept great sovereign-level Battlefield Legion missions. Of course, for Red Oriole, accepting a high-level Dominator rank army mission seemed to be a bit of a waste of a sledgehammer. The two quickly walked into the main hall of the Battlefield Legion base and went straight to the Battlefield Legion Mission Distribution Center. There were already many experts here, and they were all greater sovereigns. There were more than 10 of them, and they seemed to be waiting for something. When they saw Long Yu and Red Oriole walk over, the eyes of these greater sovereigns lit up. However, when they saw their cultivation levels clearly, they looked away in disappointment. These experts are all greater sovereign-level demonic beasts. Could they be waiting for enough manpower to set off for a greater sovereign-level battlefield Legion mission? Long Yu thought to himself, but didn't say anything else. He simply followed Red Oriole to the battlefield Legion Mission Distribution Center. What greater sovereign-level battlefield Legion missions are there now? Red Oriole walked up to the front of the counter and directly asked the staff inside. There's only one greater sovereign-level battlefield Legion mission that's open to the public right now. We're waiting for enough manpower. The staff glanced at Red Oriole and was somewhat surprised. He didn't expect a greater sovereign to dare ask about a greater sovereign-level battlefield Legion mission. Greater sovereign level? You must be joking. This lass is only a greater sovereign. She wants to take on a greater sovereign-level Legion mission? What a joke. This Legion mission has a limited number of people. If even a greater sovereign can participate, wouldn't she be dragging us down? That's right. However, they probably wouldn't dare to take on this mission. After all, the danger is too great. Even greater sovereigns like us can't guarantee our own survival, let alone a greater sovereign. Wait, this last looks a little familiar, right? Isn't she Commander Shuel Luo's cousin? The princess of the Blood Demon race. Very quickly, someone recognized Red Oriole and immediately exclaimed in surprise. If it's Princess Blood Demon, then there's no problem. However, what's up with that brat beside her? Another person turned his attention to Long Yu with a frown. Long Yu is currently only a 5-star emperor. He couldn't even be considered a greater sovereign. He didn't even have a small world of his own. In the eyes of these greater sovereign-level demonic cultivators, he was truly an ant-like existence. However, when she heard someone questioning Long Yu, Red Oriole immediately hugged Long Yu's arm and coldly said, "He's my man. Be careful what you say." These words caused a huge wave to arise in the surroundings. What? The princess of the Blood Demon race already had a man? Moreover, it was actually a human brat at the 5-star emperor level. Wasn't this a little too unbelievable? Chapter 1199. Long Yu was rather bewildered by the fact that Red Oriole's words had shocked the 11 Sovereign Realm experts in the surroundings. His plan of keeping a low profile had gone up in smoke. However, as a 5-star emperor, it was impossible for him to keep a low profile since he was participating in a great sovereign-level mission. Even if Red Oriole didn't say he was her man, the 11 great sovereigns would still pay special attention to Long Yu. Of course, right now, Long Yu had already become the focus of these 11 people. Greetings. A handsome young beast cultivator with sharp ears walked in front of Red Oriole and Long Yu. Then, he looked at Red Oriole and extended his hand with a handsome smile. "Your Highness, I am from the Divine Wood Beast race. My name is Han Hen. I have heard of your Highness' name for a long time. Today, I finally get to meet you. Nice to meet you." The Divine Wood Beast race was a pretty good race in the Beast race's territory. At the very least, it was in existence on the same level as the White Feather Beast race. This handsome young man, called Han Hen, probably had a high status in the Divine Wood Beast race. However, this wasn't enough to attract Red Oriole's attention. Seeing that Han Hen wanted to shake her hand, Red Oriole acted as if she didn't see it and said with a fake smile, "I haven't had much contact with the Divine Wood Beast race in the past. I hope we can have a pleasant cooperation." Red Oriole naturally didn't want to shake hands with an unfamiliar man. This made Han Hen look a little unhappy, but he didn't show it on his face. A pleasant cooperation? In that case, is your Highness going to participate in the Great Sovereign Mission? Han Hen chuckled, then looked at Long Yu, who was standing beside Red Oriole, and said, "Is this person also going to participate in the Great Sovereign Mission? If that's the case, I'm really shocked. Your Highness man is truly a talent." These words were sarcastic. Clearly, she was mocking Long Yu, saying that he was living off a woman. He had actually come to rely on Red Oriole to freeload off of the Sovereign's quest. It had to be known that although the Sovereign's quest was difficult, the reward for completing it was also the highest. Long Yu only had the cultivation of a 5-star emperor. It was almost impossible for him to complete the Great Dominator's mission. Even in a large-scale joint mission, It was an existence that could not play any role. Naturally, Han Hen and the others did not like it. The moment Han Hen's mocking words left his mouth, the other 10 Sovereign Realm experts chuckled. Although the number of people participating in the mission wouldn't affect the merit points they would receive in the end, they felt that Long Yu wouldn't be of any use during the mission. Allowing him to participate in the mission was a waste of his spot. If it had been another Hegemon, their chances of completing the mission would have been slightly higher, and they would have had a slightly easier time. Yes, I am. Tell me the details of this great ruler-level mission. However, Red Oriole didn't pay any attention to them. Instead, she directly asked the mission issuer of the Battlefield Army, "Want to know more about this mission?" "Yes, Your Highness." The mission issuer nodded and began to explain. This mission is an escort mission. Right now, the Ice God clan is attacking the front line of the alien battlefield fiercely. Therefore, we urgently mobilized the weapon refiners in the territory to forge a large number of fierce fire talismans. Using the fierce fire talismans will have a miraculous effect against the Ice God clan. Therefore, it is a very important batch of resources for the front line of the alien battlefield. It can even decide the direction of the entire war. The escort route will take you from the third galaxy to the alien battlefield. Once you're outside the alien battlefield, you may encounter threats from the Ice God clan at any time. That's because the Ice God clan has some powerful prophets who can foretell disasters. Perhaps the Ice God clan's exotic beasts have already found out about this batch of fierce fire talismans. Therefore, they recruited 15 great sovereigns to escort this batch of fierce fire talismans. This way, even if someone from the Ice God clan sneaks behind us and tries to ambush you, they won't be a match for you. If this escort mission is completed, each participant who survives will receive 100,000 battle merit points. For those who die, they can designate a relative in advance, and that relative will receive the same 100,000 battle merit points. At this point, the mission issuer frowned slightly and said, "Of course, the recruitment period for this mission is 3 days. It is already the 3rd day, so you must depart soon. After all, this kind of thing cannot be delayed. Therefore, if you do not recruit 15 people, you must also depart." Can a 5-star emperor, a higher sovereign, also participate? Red Oriole asked the key question. Of course, but the condition is that there are not enough people in the end. The person nodded and said, "If there are less than 15 people in the end, you can also join, but the final rewards will be different. Great sovereigns will receive 100,000 battle merit points. High sovereigns will only receive 70,000 battle merit points. As for 5-star emperor," at this point, the person glanced at Long Yu and smiled. "If he survives the mission, he will receive 5,000 battle merit points. I'm sorry, Your Highness, but this is a hard and fast rule from above. We can't make the decision." "It's fine. 5,000 battle merit points is already much more than the reward for an emperor-level mission." Long Yu didn't seem to mind and shrugged. "But the difficulty and danger are too much." Red Oriole frowned slightly. "It's fine. Trust me, as long as I'm not too unlucky, my life won't be in any danger." Long Yu smiled and whispered to Red Oriole. Red Oriole relaxed her brows and nodded. Since Long Yu had made his decision, there was no point in her continuing to object. Most importantly, Red Oriole had absolute trust in Long Yu. If Long Yu said it was fine, then it was fine. If Long Yu said there was no danger, then he definitely wouldn't die. This kind of confidence wasn't blind. It was because Red Oriole had experienced many life and death situations that she had developed a deep impression of Long Yu. This kind of trust might be laughable to others. A high sovereign expert would actually trust a 5-star emperor so much, but that was because 5-star emperor hadn't experienced anything like Red Oriole. "We should leave in 2 hours. I really hope that 4 more great sovereigns arrive immediately. That way, we'll have a better chance of completing this escort mission." A burly Yao cultivator with an unshaven beard said with a frown. A burly demonic beast cultivator with an unkempt beard said with a frown. He was one of the few sovereigns present who wasn't shocked by Long Yu and Red Oriole's relationship. In other words, this burly Yao cultivator with an unshaven beard wasn't interested in the relationship between Long Yu and Red Oriole. All he wanted was to complete this mission as quickly as possible. There's still 2 hours left. I'm afraid we won't be able to wait for the 4 great sovereigns. If those 2 brats really join us, another middle-aged man with sword-like eyebrows and starry eyes glanced at Red Oriole and Long Yu, then shook his head and said, I hope they won't drag us down. Don't worry blindly. From what I know, although the Blood Demon race's princess is only a higher sovereign, her true strength is definitely at the level of an ordinary great sovereign. There's no way she will drag us down. Another person beside him smiled and said, As for the human race's 5-star emperor, Long Yu, I just received news that he was surrounded by 1,000 sovereign secret realm experts in Cry Echo Galaxy, but he didn't die. Moreover, when he was only a 5-star emperor, he single-handedly killed 3 mid-level sovereigns and 7 low-level sovereigns. Even if he's a great sovereign, that brat won't be of much help. There's no way he will drag us down. When these words were spoken, Long Yu and Red Oriole looked at the person in shock. The person had a valiant and formidable-looking appearance, and it was actually a woman. She wore a water blue gown and had a head full of short, water blue hair. This was a rare sight among the Yao race. There were many people with water blue hair in the Yao race, but short-haired women were far too rare. The person in front of them was a short-haired woman. She did not have the gentle aura of an ordinary woman, but she had a heroic and iron-blooded air about her, giving people a good impression of her at first glance. This short-haired woman was standing close to the burly man with an unkempt beard and the middle-aged man with sword-like eyebrows and starry eyes. The 3 of them were clearly quite close, or at least much closer than they were with the others. The Heavenly Wings race, the Blade Wing race, and the Sea Wing race. Red Oriole sized up the 3 people, then narrowed her eyes and secretly introduced them to Long Yu. The burly man with the unkempt beard is from the Blade Wing race. The middle-aged man with sword-like eyebrows is from the Heavenly Wings race, and the short-haired woman is from the Sea Wing race. The Heavenly Wings race, the Blade Wing race, and the Sea Wing race jointly rule the gigantic winged galaxy. What's strange is that the relationship between the 3 races has always been very close, far surpassing the other major races that develop in the same galaxy. After hearing Red Oriole's words, Long Yu had a slight impression of the 3 races and the 3 great sovereigns in front of him. He recalled that he had killed the 3rd prince of the Golden Flood Dragon Beast race on the Killer King star, but the Killer King Beast race had remained indifferent and had even tacitly allowed Long Yu to kill the 3rd prince of the Golden Flood Dragon Beast race. It was clear that the Golden Flood Dragon Beast race, the Killer King Beast race, and the others in the Ironwall Galaxy were secretly competing with each other. However, the Heavenly Wings race, the Blade Wing race, and the Sea Wing race, which jointly ruled the gigantic winged galaxy, did not have any barriers between them. They were always united against a common enemy in the outside world, as if they were the same race. As a result, the overall strength of the gigantic winged galaxy far surpassed that of the other galaxies that were not united. That woman from the Sea Wing race seems to know us quite well. Chapter 1200. The Heavenly Winged race, the Saber-Winged race, and the Sea-Winged race ruled the gigantic winged galaxy together. They were one of the few demon races that were absolutely united in the same galaxy. Therefore, for this great sovereign rank mission of escorting the fierce fire talismans to the battlefield, the 3 great sovereign rank experts from the 3 races would most likely participate together. If the 3 of them were to withdraw at the same time, this escort mission would most likely fail, as their overall combat strength would be greatly weakened. However, since they were already here, there was no way they would withdraw from the mission. The first reason was that if they withdrew from a mission midway, their contribution points would be deducted. The second reason was that these battlefield missions were more important. They were very clear that if they withdrew and caused the mission to fail, they would become the sinners of the entire demon race and the entire battlefield army. A total of 11 great sovereigns were participating in this escort mission. The fierce fire talismans would depart in 2 hours, and they would be sent to the front lines of the foreign race's battlefield. However, up until now, it was still unknown whether Long Yu and Red Oriole would be able to truly participate in this mission. No one dared to guarantee that there wouldn't be another 4 sovereigns participating in this mission in the last 2 hours. The maximum number of people that could be transported for this mission was 15. However, if there weren't enough great sovereigns, Long Yu and Red Oriole's participation would be somewhat useful. This escort mission might be intercepted by a small group of Ice God race experts. Therefore, before we officially depart, I think we should elect a leader. Everyone will listen to his commands. What do you think? The handsome young man from the divine with demon race, Han Hen, stood in the middle of the crowd as he spoke. He looked around and saw that everyone around him was nodding their heads in agreement. Han Hen then looked at Red Oriole. What does your highness think? That's fine. Red Oriole nodded. Although she did not have a good first impression of Han Hen, what he said was true. There needed to be a leader for this operation. Otherwise, if they were to fight on their own when they encountered danger, the chances of them failing the mission would be too high. The foreign races definitely couldn't be underestimated, especially in certain aspects. Some foreign races were even stronger than the demon race and human race. The Ice God clan's sense of crisis was very strong, and their ability to predict certain dangers was much stronger than that of the demon clan and the human clan. Therefore, the demon clan had never gained much advantage in terms of strategy against the Ice God clan. Because even if they finally came up with a strategy against the Ice God clan that could cause heavy losses to the Ice God clan would basically be able to detect the danger in advance, and then make corresponding strategic arrangements to crack the targeted strategy that they came up with. Therefore, this escort mission of the Fierce Fire Talisman was absolutely dangerous. The possibility of being intercepted by the strong warriors of the Ice God clan on the way was almost 100%. However, it was uncertain how strong the other party would be to intercept this batch of resources. The arrangement of 15 great Sovereign Realm experts was considered relatively safe, because it was not easy for the experts of the Ice God clan to pass through all the obstacles to get close to the Demon clan's territory. If there were too many of them, it would be impossible. Considering various factors, 15 great Sovereign Realm experts working together might suffer some losses, but the overall success rate should be relatively high. Of course, there were still 2 hours before they set off, but only 11 great Sovereign Realm experts had gathered. These great Sovereign Realm experts were naturally not in a good mood. After all, this kind of mission was too dangerous, and it was very frightening to have so few people. They could only look at Long Yu and Red Oriole. After all, after listening to the words of the Sea Wing race woman with short blue hair, these people still had some confidence in Red Oriole. But as for Long Yu, honestly speaking, none of them expected Long Yu to do anything. When the time came, they would already thank the heavens and earth if he really didn't drag them down. The gap in cultivation of the martial Tao was really too big. When these great Sovereign Realm experts were still 5-star Emperor, which one of them hadn't been at the same time decades ago. Even hundreds of years had passed. Among the 11 great Sovereign Realm experts, 4 of them were older, at least 3 to 500 years old. Their 5-star Emperor was probably 2 to 300 years old. How long ago was that? Therefore, with so many great Sovereign Realm experts present, they really didn't dare to think too much about Long Yu's role in this mission. This also led to the handsome youth from the Divine with Demon Race, Han Hen, not even asking for Long Yu's opinion. Regarding the mission leader's opinion, there was no need for Long Yu to participate at all. Red Oriole was able to participate, but when the great ruler was voting, Red Oriole made a request. Since we're all going on this escort mission together, we can't ignore anyone. Unity is the most important thing. My man needs a vote as well. Otherwise, I won't participate in this mission this time. Anyway, I haven't officially joined the ranks yet, so even if I go back on my word, my merit points won't be deducted. Red Oriole's words immediately made the 11 great Sovereign Realm experts feel a little awkward. As for the handsome youth from the divine with demon race, Han Hen, who had proposed to vote for the leader, he hated Long Yu even more. Of course, he didn't show it on the surface, but deep down, he was extremely jealous of Long Yu. Then let's wait a little longer. Who knows, there might be more people coming. After all, there are still 2 hours left. A middle-aged demon cultivator who was as thin as a bamboo pole said in a strange tone. Even though Red Oriole was so insistent, he still didn't want to give Long Yu any face. In the Beyond Heaven's world, especially in the third outer domain galaxy near the battlefield of the Outsiders, strength was the supreme rule. Long Yu's strength was low. Even with Red Oriole's support, not everyone would listen to her. After all, everyone present was a great sovereign realm expert. Every one of them could stand on their own, and they even represented a tyrannical demon cultivator clan. Therefore, even though they were quite respectful to Red Oriole, they didn't really take her seriously. Since the other party had chosen to wait, Red Oriole naturally couldn't force them. She could only wait by the side. Little brother Long, if we don't participate in this escort mission, we can look for a higher Sovereign Realm Battlefield Legion mission. After all, it's our first time, so we don't necessarily need such a difficult mission. Red Oriole intimately held onto Long Yu's arm as she quietly transmitted her voice. Actually, you don't need to say too much to these people. It doesn't matter to me who the leader is. Long Yu was quite helpless against Red Oriole's actions. In reality, he didn't really care who the leader was, as long as it wasn't the handsome youth from the divine with demon race, Han Hen. Otherwise, Han Hen would probably target him during the mission. However, Red Oriole's willingness to protect Long Yu no matter what in front of others touched Long Yu. Now that she was his woman, she was actually so protective of him. This was something he hadn't expected in the past. The handsome youth from the divine with demon race, Han Hen, was even more displeased when he saw how close Long Yu and Red Oriole were. He had never seen Red Oriole before, and it wasn't that he liked her now. He was purely jealous and displeased because of her relationship with Long Yu. Although he didn't have much of a relationship with Red Oriole, she was still a pretty girl. He naturally had a good impression of her. Now that Red Oriole was acting so intimately with a 5-star emperor from the human race, Han Hen was extremely furious. However, he wouldn't show it on the surface. After all, everyone was currently escorting the fierce flame talismans on the battlefield. At least on the surface, he couldn't possibly fall out with Red Oriole and Long Yu. 2 hours passed by quickly. During these 2 hours, no other Sovereign Realm experts came. Even though the battlefield army had announced that they were lacking for Sovereign Realm experts, no one else came. It was important to know that Sovereign Realm experts were extremely rare. This important mission that required 15 people to work together hadn't happened in a long time. In the demonic beast race's territory, there are only 30 to 40 Sovereign Realm experts in a galaxy. Even though the third galaxy definitely had a lot more Sovereign Realm experts than the galaxies in the demon race's territory, it was still extremely difficult to gather 15 Sovereign Realm experts in a short period of time. It seems like only the 3 of you can complete this escort mission with us. From now on, the 13 of us are one unit. We can't be separated. Our ultimate goal is to complete this mission. Seeing that the time limit was approaching, the burly man from the blade-winged race glanced at Red Oriole and Long Yu, then nodded to them and said. His attitude surprised Long Yu a little. It seemed like the bearded man from the bladed-winged race immediately became serious after the mission officially began. He no longer looked down on Long Yu. This made Long Yu have a good impression of him. Although Long Yu knew that it was reasonable for the bearded man to look down on him under such circumstances, Long Yu was quite touched that the bearded man didn't look down on him. The 5-star emperor won't be of any help to us in this mission. He might even be a burden. I think it's better if he doesn't participate in this mission. Of course, your highness can keep him in your small world. The handsome young man from the divine with demon race, Han Hen, was still very unhappy with Long Yu. Now that Long Yu was going to join the mission, he immediately spoke up. Don't waste time. Chapter 1201. Han Hen from the Divine Wood Goblin clan was speechless after being reprimanded by the bearded man from the blade-winged race. Of course, he understood what the bearded man meant. He just couldn't stand the fact that a 5-star emperor like Long Yu was following him. Since the bearded man had spoken, no one wasted any time discussing other matters. They began to vote for the most reliable person to be the leader of this mission. However, the result of this voting was obvious. The blade-winged race, the sky-winged race, and the sea-winged race were originally from the colossal winged galaxy and were very close to each other. The three great rulers all voted for the bearded man from the blade-winged race. Long Yu and Red Oriole also voted for the bearded man. The two of them felt that this man seemed to be more fair and decisive. He might be able to lead the team out of a difficult situation at a critical moment. He was much better than the handsome young man from the Divine Wood Goblin clan, Han Hen. In this way, there were a total of 5 votes out of the 13 people. In addition, there were 3 people who probably saw that the bearded brawny man was more courageous, so they directly voted for him, making his total number of votes reach 8. In this way, it didn't matter who the others voted for because the bearded man had more than half of the votes. He was definitely worthy of being the leader of this mission. In that case, please listen to my commands in this mission. I'm from the blade-winged race of the colossal winged galaxy. My name is Dao Qing. Some of you might recognize me, but this isn't the time to reminisce. Let's go. After the bearded man Dao Qing became the leader, he didn't waste any time and directly took a storage ring from the mission personnel of the battlefield army. In this storage ring was the escort item for this mission, Fierce Flame Talismans. These Fierce Flame Talismans were powerful tools to deal with the Ice God clan's exotic beasts. They were extremely precious and had taken many master refiners in the Demon Clan's territory half a year to refine them. Once the escort mission failed, it would definitely be a heavy loss for the Demon Clan. Everyone immediately prepared to set off. Without any delay, Long Yu and Red Oriole followed the bearded man Dao Qing. A total of 13 cultivators, under the guidance of the mission personnel, walked towards the space-time imprint teleportation array in the battlefield army's base. You're Long Yu, right? What are you good at? Tell me. Maybe you'll be able to help when the time comes. Dao Qing asked while moving forward. Detect and hide. Long Yu answered honestly. Compared to his combat strength, his detection and concealment abilities were pretty good. At the very least, his combat strength was nothing in front of these Sovereign Realm experts. However, his detection and concealment abilities weren't any weaker than most of them. In fact, they might even surpass them. And this was all because of Long Yu's innate skill, the Book of Dark Shadows. This innate skill was already an Emperor Dao skill that could turn Long Yu into nothingness at any time. All right, what about you, Princess of the Blood Demon Clan? Dao Qing continued to ask the others. This was the main responsibility of a team leader. He had to know what everyone in the team was good at. Then, when they encountered danger, he would be able to assign responsibilities according to what everyone was good at, maximizing the combat power and efficiency of the entire team. The others also answered Dao Qing's questions one by one. Most of them were experts in combat. After all, they were Sovereign Realm experts. They were existences that stood at the peak of the beyond heaven's great world. There was also one person who was proficient in spiritual type divine runes. Moreover, he had deep attainments in this aspect. However, his direct combat strength wasn't that strong. The Divine Wood Demon race's Han Hen was more proficient in recovery-type divine abilities. The martial techniques that he cultivated were pretty good for treating injuries. With him around, they could save a lot of precious healing pills. There was a total of 13 people. Apart from Long Yu, the rest were all demonic cultivators. Apart from Long Yu and Red Oriole, the rest were all Sovereign Realm experts. These people were already relatively familiar with the mission. Therefore, they didn't ask too many questions about the details of the mission. For example, they didn't know where to send the Fierce Flame Talismans or how many places they had to pass through. They were all aware of these things. However, Long Yu and Red Oriole didn't know. Team leader, what's the destination of this escort mission? Red Oriole asked the bearded brawny man, Dao Qing. The moment this question came out, a few people in the team immediately snickered. This princess blood demon seemed to be a complete newbie in this aspect. If that was the case, then Long Yu was even more of a newbie among newbies. The others were a little worried. From the looks of it, Red Oriole and Long Yu didn't seem very reliable. What if they encountered an accident during the escort mission? What if the two of them really became a burden? The destination is the front lines. We don't know the exact location. We will only know when we arrive at the front lines. This is because the front lines of the foreign races are constantly changing. No one knows where the front lines will be when we arrive, Dao Qing said solemnly. Moreover, the closer we get to the front lines, the easier it is for us to encounter foreign races. Everyone should be more careful. If we encounter foreign races, we must finish them off as quickly as possible and move to another location. Understood. The middle-aged man with sharp eyebrows and starry eyes from the Heavenly Wings race and the short-haired woman from the Sea Wings race nodded. The two of them had followed Dao Qing on many missions, so they were relatively familiar with his personality. Soon, the 13 of them arrived in front of a space-time imprint teleportation array in the Army base on the battlefield. This teleportation array will teleport you to the edge of the third galaxy. Once you get there, you will have to fly slowly to your destination. It will take about 3 days. After you officially set foot on the foreign race's battlefield, there will be no space-time imprint teleportation array for you to teleport to. This is because there are all kinds of foreign races destroying the space-time imprints on the battlefield at all times. After saying that, Dao Qing took the lead and stepped onto the space-time imprint teleportation array. Long Yu and the others naturally followed. At this time, Long Yu was really a little nervous. This was because he was participating in a battlefield army mission at the Great Dominator level. His teammates were all Great Dominators. Once they encountered the Ice God clan, their opponents were likely to be all Great Dominators. It would be very difficult for Long Yu's current combat strength to be of any use. The only thing he could do was to walk in front of the others and explore the way. However, if the Ice God clan appeared, it was very likely that they would directly teleport to their side through the space-time divine characters. Therefore, the role of exploring the way was actually very small. However, apart from exploring the way and escaping, Long Yu really didn't know what else he could do. When the time came, he could only adapt to the situation. As the space-time imprint teleportation array was activated, everyone was bathed in the power of the space-time divine characters. Long Yu subconsciously looked around and happened to see the handsome young man from the Divine Wood Goblin clan, Han Hen. He was actually looking at him with some evil intentions. Seeing that Long Yu was looking at him, Han Hen immediately withdrew his gaze. However, it was still noticed by Long Yu. Could it be that this fellow wants to play some tricks during the mission? Long Yu thought to himself. He had a deeper level of vigilance against Han Hen. Originally, he thought that there should be no internal strife during the mission on such a crucial battlefield. However, when Long Yu saw the look in Han Hen's eyes, he really couldn't be sure what this guy was going to do. I really don't understand. I have never provoked anyone. Why is it that everywhere I go, there are always people who oppose me? Long Yu felt a deep sense of helplessness in his heart. However, it was also because of this that his martial arts realm could improve so quickly. It also strengthened his extremely talented combat awareness. The more opponents, the faster the growth, but correspondingly, the more dangerous it would be. Of course, Long Yu understood this principle. However, the key was that if he wanted to grow rapidly, he had to overcome danger again and again. This time, apart from the experts from the Ice God clan, the handsome young man from the Divine Wood Goblin clan, Han Hen, was also in existence with the cultivation of a great dominator. If he wanted to secretly do something to Long Yu, it seemed that it would be very easy for him to fall into the trap. As the space-time imprint teleportation formation was activated, the 13 people were teleported away from the Shui Luo star. When Long Yu opened his eyes again, he found that he and the other 12 people had already arrived in a pitch-black and silent void. Looking back, there was a bright star river. Several divine rune sources were emitting a faint light. Obviously, they were relatively far away. That is the third domain galaxy. Now, what we need to do is to move forward to the front line of the battlefield of the alien race and send the materials there. Dao Qing, the leader of the Bladewing clan, said calmly. Then, he waved his hand and signaled the others to follow him. The direction he was heading towards was the boundless and pitch-black void. No one knew what would appear in that void. So long as he moved forward a little more, he would officially step into the territory of the outsider's battlefield. Danger could descend at any time and any place. Within the range of the third domain galaxy, there were some shielding formations that could prevent the alien race from deducing, estimating, attacking, and so on. However, in the battlefield of the alien race, the danger would at least soar by 100 times. The battlefield of the alien race was close to the territory of the demon clan, so there were not many rampant alien races. At this stage, mainly the Ice God clan was showing off their strength. However, the army had already sent many troops to the battlefield to clean up the alien race. Basically, there would not be a large number of Ice God clan's alien race in this large area. However, no one could guarantee that the alien race would not use some powerful means to directly teleport a group of experts here. After entering the battlefield of the alien race, the 13 people in the team all entered a combat state, ready to deal with any possible danger, including the handsome young man from the Divine Wood Goblin clan. At this time, Han Hen was too lazy to pay attention to Long Yu, because if he was not careful, he would die here. You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.